Chapter 2:21. The first battle lasted for less than a day before it ended. The final result was the victory of the barbarian army. Both armies didn't expect the battle to end so quickly. Moreover, it was the barbarian army that won, which shocked the higher-ups of both sides. The barbarians thought that they could catch the barbarian army off guard, and even sent out the beast army. However, the beast army was completely annihilated. More than 3,000 soldiers died in battle, and more or less of the 6,000 people who escaped were injured. As for the barbarian army, less than 500 people died and less than 2,000 were injured. This was definitely a great victory, and this victory was brought about by a mere private advisor. When the barbarian army penetrated deep into the battlefield, the Death Legion ambushed them. Their respective commanders claimed that each of them had 10,000 soldiers and horses, which intimidated the barbarian army. They knew that they had fallen into an ambush, so they retreated at the first moment. However, another troop of soldiers and horses hidden in the ice appeared behind them and defeated them completely. As a result, before their reinforcements arrived, they retreated to the battlefield's passageway and were chased for more than 10 miles. The sickly beauty Lu Ji's name quietly spread throughout the barbarian army. After the barbarian army understood the layout of the Death Legion, they could finally confirm the existence of Lu Ji. Just as everyone was cheering for this great victory, Lu Ji reported to the Rose of Death and asked her to inform the generals to prepare for the barbarian army's appearance at any time. Sure enough, when the Rose of Death responded, the barbarian army was ready. The barbarians launched another air attack. A group of thousands of winged cavalry warriors appeared and threw a large amount of poison to attack the barbarian army. The Rose of Death led the cold-faced adjutant to attack at the first moment. The other generals also led the winged cavalry to attack, blocking the air attack of the thousands of barbarian winged cavalry warriors in time. The higher-ups of the barbarian army broke out in cold sweat. If they were any slower, the consequences would be unimaginable when the poison was thrown in. Lu Ji once again suggested for the barbarian army to attack the barbarians. Unfortunately, no one listened to his suggestion. The higher-ups responded by saying that our army is not suitable for a long-distance expedition at this time, and continued to strengthen the defense. They also sent out scouts to keep an eye on the barbarian army's movements. On the third day, the barbarian army of 100,000 came in full force. The defense of the barbarian suppression army was completely lost. Even the chain of traps that Lu Ji had people repair were of no use. The barbarians subduing army's army of 150,000 responded in kind. This was a real battle. Among the barbarian army, the barbarian tribe's patriarch had personally led the troops into battle. It was obvious that he was determined to win this battle. This was a battle of kings against kings, soldiers against soldiers. It was all about whose fighting strength was stronger. The two golden flowers of the barbarian subduing army displayed extremely valiant battle prowess in the midst of the tens of thousands of soldiers. They were stunning in this fierce battle. Wan Lanxin was a female chiliarch. When the battle broke out, she didn't flinch. Instead, she fought with the barbarians with the army. She was already at the top of the general realm and possessed extraordinary spear skills. She defeated the barbarians one by one, showing the spirit of a woman who was not inferior to a man. Those who offend Great Xia must be punished. Wan Lanxin rode on her leopard, looking more and more courageous as the battle progressed. She took the lead and wasn't afraid of death, greatly increasing the morale of the Great Xia soldiers around her. "You cowards, get out of my way. Let me kill this Great Xia girl," a barbarian general roared. He rode on an elephant demon and held a mace as he charged toward Wan Lanxin. This was a top barbarian general who had awakened the first level of brute force. When his mace fell, it carried a powerful brute force as it blasted toward Wan Lanxin. Wan Lanxin held her spear and blocked the attack. After one round, her weapon was knocked out of her hand and she was at a disadvantage. "You can't even withstand a single blow." The barbarian general sneered and continued to pursue. He was determined to kill Wan Lanxin, who knew that this was only a flaw that Wan Lanxin revealed. When the barbarian general was careless, She shot out a concealed weapon and directly hit the barbarian general's eyes. While the barbarian general was in pain and panicked, she pulled out the long sword at her waist and frantically slashed it. She broke through the barbarian general's defense and took his head. A barbarian general is only SOSO. Wan Lanxin shouted as she held the barbarian general's head. When the other great Xia soldiers saw this, they were even more motivated to kill the enemy. They didn't want to lose to a woman. Other than Wan Lanxin, the other golden flower, the Rose of Death, was the most stunning. She was already at the advanced Earth-Sea realm and was definitely one of the top 3 barbarian generals in terms of strength. She led the Death Legion and crazily charged toward the barbarian army. She raised her combat weapon, condensed a pair of black profound wings, and soared into the sky. At the same time, she fought against the 3 barbarian kings. Her tyrannical rose sword continuously struck out, and every strike contained a world-shaking might. The 3 barbarian kings, with astonishing brute strength, were unable to block her attacks. Today, I will teach you all a painful lesson. The Rose of Death shouted with a strong, murderous intent. In her celestial court, a tiny bit of the pure will of the Tao of Death was released. It instantly interfered with the wills of the 3 barbarian kings, causing them to feel the fear of death. She took the opportunity to kill them. PFFF. PFFF. Wherever her sword went, 2 barbarian kings' heads were chopped off. There was also another head that was almost chopped off, but it was saved by someone. Don't be so arrogant after being defeated. I will take you down. Sure Shafong blasted his yellowish fist towards the Rose of Death. The tyrannical fist caused the sky to shake. The terrifying fist was like a mountain that couldn't be stopped. This was the strength of the barbarian race. It was much stronger than the strength of martial artists of the same level. There was a reason why I lost you last time. This time, you won't be able to escape. The Rose of Death replied with a strong sense of confidence. She slashed out with the rose sword again and again, causing cracks to appear in the sky, shattering the fists that were coming at her. Rumble. The outcome of a battle between kings would undoubtedly play a crucial role in the battle. The increase in the strength of the Rose of Death had undoubtedly boosted the morale of the great Xia army. The other kings, including Fun Tianxiong, Su Tinghong, Fu Rong, and the other generals, all took the lead. No one could sit in the rear and remain indifferent in such a great battle. Their battle was incomparably terrifying. Mountains were destroyed one after another, and many trees and flowers were turned into dust. The destructive power was quite astonishing. If they were to fight on land, it was unknown how many soldiers would be implicated and die. Yang Wu's brother, Shou Ho, also participated in this battle. He was no longer as simple as having just broken through to the general realm. In the past 4 months, he had already reached the advanced general realm. It could be said that he had made rapid progress. His combat strength was unmatched among those of the same level. Even if it was someone 1 level higher, he could still easily defeat them. He could be seen moving left and right on the battlefield. His movements were incomparably agile and swift. The broken staff in his hand swept out wildly. Streaks of golden light swept out, causing the barbarian race soldiers to be thrown off their horses. Suddenly, a barbarian general riding a barbarian bull rushed over and slashed furiously at Shou Ho's back with his large saber. Shou Ho was entangled with 2 people, so he couldn't defend himself in time and was ruthlessly slashed. The barbarian general thought that this slash could cut Shou Ho in half. Who knew that Shou Ho's body was as hard as iron? He wasn't cut in half. Instead, there was a rebounding force that made the barbarian general's hand go numb. He turned pale with fright. How is this possible? Shou Ho didn't even look at him. He waved his broken staff backhandedly, and a powerful beam of light hit the barbarian general's face heavily. Bang! The barbarian general's head was smashed into pieces like a watermelon. The barbarian race soldiers at the side were terrified. Brute force is nothing more than this, Shou Ho said with scarlet eyes. As his eyes flickered, 2 barbarians who rushed over were shot dead on the spot. His pupil technique had been completely awakened. This battle was very fierce, and there were many casualties. It was difficult to determine the victor between the two sides for a while. Both sides beat the gong to withdraw their troops in the night. In the middle of the night, other than kings with extraordinary eyesight, it was difficult for others to see clearly. It was easy to accidentally injure their own people, so they had to prepare torches to fight. Fortunately, the barbarians weren't so crazy. They retreated to the battlefield to recuperate and attack again in the future. Liu Ji spoke again, hoping that the barbarian suppression army would attack the barbarians in the night. He said, "Attack in one spurt of energy and catch them off guard. We will definitely win." However, the higher-ups of the military couldn't hear his voice at all. Even if the rows of death suggested it, no one would accept it. They were all conservative generals and never thought of completely wiping out the barbarians. Liu Ji was very helpless. He sighed deeply and said, "If the deputy commander is the commander, we will definitely be able to take down the barbarians in this battle." The next day, the barbarians launched another fierce attack. The barbarian suppression army was already prepared. Both sides fought fiercely again. This time, the barbarian tribe's patriarch, Huangfu Zhanxiong, didn't make a move. However, he sent out 3 of the top 10 barbarian kings to join the battle. This time, Fan Tianxiong had no choice but to use his full strength to meet the attack. He even sent out the older generation of kings to barely stop the 3 barbarian kings. Unfortunately, in today's battle, the barbarian suppression army lost 7 or 8 kings. The losses were very disastrous. On the other hand, the barbarians didn't lose any barbarian kings and obtained a great victory. On the other hand, the barbarian suppression army and the barbarians fought to a draw. Both sides suffered many casualties and many people were captured by the barbarians. Among them, Wan Lanxin was also captured by the barbarians. This matter wasn't a big deal to the barbarian suppression army. Even if she was one of the 2 golden flowers, she didn't have any big shots supporting her. If she was captured, then so be it. Who would take the risk to break into the barbarian army to save her? On the 3rd day, the barbarians suddenly released the news that they wanted to exchange 100 captives and a king for a barbarian girl. Wan Lanxin was among these 100 captives. When the barbarian suppression army heard this news, they immediately held an emergency meeting to discuss. They wanted to know who the barbarians were looking for was. As a result, all the generals searched through all the captives in the army, but couldn't find a single barbarian girl. They couldn't satisfy the barbarians' demand. The barbarians were dissatisfied. They released the news again. They gave the barbarian suppression army 1 more day. If they couldn't find the barbarian girl, they would kill 1 captive every hour until all of them were killed. Wan Lanxin was in danger. Chapter 222. At the battlefield passage where the barbarians were stationed. Why did the barbarian patriarch, Huangfu Zhanxiong, personally make a move? For the sake of his long-lost daughter, he had to find her again. Through the guidance of his bloodline and Huangfu Taiging's calculation method, he was certain that his daughter was in the barbarian suppression army. Because of this, he was prepared to personally go to battle to save his daughter. In a temporary tent, Huangfu Zhanxiong was personally interrogating Wan Lanxin. He asked, "What is your name?" Huangfu Zhanxiong was wearing animal skin and a feather crown. He was tall and powerful, with a dignified expression. Ordinary people would immediately worship him. However, Wan Lanxin had a strong character. Facing Huangfu Zhanxiong, she did not kneel. Instead, she held her head high and stared at Huangfu Zhanxiong without any stage fright. Wan Lanxin was in a very sorry state. Most of her armor was broken, and blood stained most of her body. There was also a bloody hole in her waist. Fortunately, it was wrapped up. Otherwise, blood would continue to seep out from that position. She would not be able to live for long. "He's asking you a question. Why aren't you answering?" A young barbarian general beside Huangfu Zhanxiong shouted. This young barbarian general was Huangfu Zhanxiong's nephew, Huangfu Luosha. He was a powerful young man who had awakened the 2nd layer of barbarian energy. This time, he was the most powerful young warrior. He was only 25 years old, but he was already a top barbarian general. He had the chance to become a king before 30. Wan Lanxin turned her face away. She did not care at all. Huangfu Luosha walked over and grabbed Wan Lanxin's hair. He forcefully slammed Wan Lanxin to the ground. Wan Lanxin's strength was sealed, so she had no room to resist. Her beautiful face made intimate contact with the ground. Bang! Wan Lanxin's nose was broken. Blood spurted out from her nose. It was very distressing to see her like this. Huangfu Luosha pulled her head up and shouted, "Hurry up and answer the patriarch's question, or there will be worse torture waiting for you." Huangfu Luosha was indeed worthy of the name Luosha. His whole body was emitting a murderous aura, and he showed no mercy to a beauty like Wan Lanxin. "Kill me if you can. I don't know anything," Wan Lanxin replied with a look of determination. Bang bang. Huangfu Luosha continued to smash Wan Lanxin into the ground. Her face was almost deformed. "Are you going to tell me or not?" Huangfu Luosha shouted again. At that moment, Huangfu Zhanxiong waved his hand and said, "That's enough. You have to be gentle with women." He then threatened Wan Lanxin, "If you answer my question honestly, you will suffer less pain. You are so beautiful that many of my men covet you. As long as I give the order, you will be humiliated by thousands of people. Why bother?" Wan Lanxin was so scared that her whole body trembled. She said in a trembling voice, "Kill me if you can. What's the point of threatening a woman like me? I just want to know if you know a girl from my clan. She is about 16 or 17 years old and looks similar to the girl in the painting." Huangfu Zhanxiong held a portrait and asked again. This portrait was drawn according to Huangfu Mingyu, and her appearance was indeed 80 to 90% similar to Little Man. After Wan Lanxin saw it, she immediately showed a look of surprise. "Little Man, you really do know her, right? Where is she?" Huangfu Zhanxiong stood up and asked excitedly. Wan Lanxin closed her eyes and said, "She is dead." "Impossible. How could she be dead?" Huangfu Zhanxiong couldn't accept the truth of Wan Lanxin's words and roared, "She is really dead. I have no reason to lie to you." Wan Lanxin said again. Huangfu Zhanxiong rushed to Wan Lanxin's side, grabbed her shoulder, and shook her with all his strength as he asked, "Did you kill her? Is it like this?" Wan Lanxin was already heavily injured. Being shaken by Huangfu Zhanxiong, she coughed up blood and couldn't stand it anymore. Seeing that Wan Lanxin was about to faint, Huangfu Zhanxiong let go of Wan Lanxin. Wan Lanxin fell to the ground and replied, "I didn't kill her, but she is really dead. Don't waste your time." After saying that, Wan Lanxin completely fainted. "Patriarch, do you want me to wake her up?" Huangfu Luosha asked. "No need, call Taiging over." Huangfu Zhanxiong frowned and said, "Yes." Huangfu Luosha responded and carried Wan Lanxin away. He then went to call Huangfu Taiging over. After Huangfu Taiging arrived, he cupped his hands and greeted Huangfu Zhanxiong, "Patriarch." "Eighth uncle, didn't you say that Pearl is not dead? I just interrogated that great Xiao woman, but she said she is dead." Huangfu Zhanxiong said with a sad expression, "Dead?" Huangfu Taiging let out a cry of surprise. He then took out his elephant bone plate and continuously formed hand seals, beginning to deduce. In the meantime, he even let Huangfu Zhanxiong drip a drop of blood essence into it. Finally, there was a flicker of light, and he muttered, "Clan leader, Mingzhu is not dead. Look, there is a main line in this bone plate, and there are two thin lines which respectively represent Mingzhu and Mingyu. If either of them died, there would be one less thin line. So that woman is lying?" Huangfu Zhanxiong snorted coldly. "This time, we have made such a big fuss. The Great Xia Empire will definitely suspect the princess's identity. We must force them to hand her over as soon as possible." Huangfu Taiging continued. "Actually, when the war started 2 days ago, I already sent Hidden Wolf to sneak into the rear camp of the Great Xia Empire to look for her. He also returned without any results. Perhaps Pearl still does not know that she has the noble blood of the barbarian tribe and still thinks of herself as a Great Xia citizen." Huangfu Zhanxiong sighed softly and then said, "Drag those captives out and kill them one by one until the Great Xia Empire hands her over. If they don't hand her over, immediately flatten the Great Xia Empire's army and go straight to the Great Xia Empire's imperial city." Huang Fu Zhanxiong was determined to find his lost daughter. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to do it. Patriarch, how about this? I will personally sneak into the barbarian army to look for the princess. As long as I am near the princess, I have a way to deduce her location. Huang Fu Taiging suggested. No, this is too risky. Huang Fu Zhanxiong refused. Patriarch, you can act according to my plan. I'm sure no one will notice me. Huang Fu Taiging suggested to Huang Fu Zhanxiong. After Huang Fu Zhanxiong heard this, he thought for a while and nodded in agreement. How can there be a barbarian girl in our army? Tell me. In the barbarian army, Fun Tianxiong reprimanded all the generals present. None of the lieutenant generals and deputy generals here spoke. They didn't know what was going on. General, the barbarians must have some ulterior motive for mobilizing so many people to look for a girl. Why don't we just find someone to replace her? Chao, Jianda said. Just replace her. If the barbarians were so stupid, we wouldn't have been forced into such a state. Fen Tianxiong said unhappily. I think the barbarians are just looking for an excuse. At this point, everyone is at death's door. Let's just kill our way out. Su Tinghong said in a deep voice. At this moment, Tai Rue said, one of my kiliarchs, Wan Lan Xin, has been captured. It's best to exchange her with a barbarian captive. So what if she's a kiliarch's? Is it worth it for us to exchange her? Feng Tyson asked. She is Yang Wu's friend. I think it's necessary to save her. Tai Rue replied. When he said the two words, Yang Wu, everyone in the tent went silent. Who didn't know that Yang Wu had a very powerful master? Not only was he strong, but he was also a medicine king. With such a background, no matter who it was, they would want to curry favor with him. So what if it's Yang Wu? Now that the war has started, I don't think I've seen him appear. Could it be that he has already left the camp? Fu Rong said. I allowed Yang Wu to leave to cultivate. The Rose of Death replied coldly. At this moment, someone came to report that the barbarians had begun to kill the captives. Both sides had captives, but the barbarians had captured one of the Great Xia's kings. He was a deputy general and was a general that the Great Xia did not want to lose. Let's go out and talk to them. If it doesn't work, then we'll fight to the death. Fun Tianxiong revealed his fighting spirit and said to Fu Rong, go and ask those consecrators to take action. They can't just enjoy without putting in any effort. Very quickly, the two armies faced each other again. The leaders of both sides looked at each other from afar. In front of the barbarian army, there were 100 captives spread out. In front of each captive was a barbarian holding a large blade, ready to behead them at any time. Wan Lanxin was among them. Huang Fu Zhanxiong rode on top of a white elephant king. His body was covered in golden armor, and he looked extraordinarily mighty. He shouted, hand over the person I want. If you dare to say no, kill without mercy. Fen Tianxiong looked at Huang Fu Zhanxiong and replied, I don't know who you are looking for, but I can guarantee that we don't have the barbarian girl you are looking for. You kill our people, we will kill yours. Our Great Xia soldiers do not fear death. The barbarian suppression army had only captured 30 or so barbarians, which was much less than the captives. This was also the reason why they lacked confidence. Fen Tianxiong, you may not care about the lives of your Great Xia soldiers, but I can't. Why don't we make a bet? Huang Fu Zhanxiong suggested. Bet? Fen Tianxiong was stunned. This was a battle of life and death, and the other party actually brought up the topic of a bet. This was not a child's play. He felt that the other party was plotting something. That's right. We will send out the younger generation to fight with you. The side that wins will release any of the other side's captives. What do you think? Huang Fu Zhanxiong smiled faintly. This idea sounds good, but why should I agree to it? Fen Tianxiong asked back. Unless you have no confidence in the young people in your army, you have no reason not to agree. We have more captives than you, and there is also one of your generals, Huang Fu Zhanxiong said very calmly. Do the cowards of Great Xia dare to fight with us? Huang Fu Luosha raised his combat weapon and shouted from the side. Do the cowards of Great Xia dare to fight with us? The other barbarians exclaimed. On the side of Great Xia, Shou Ho saw the captive Wan Lanxin and anxiously shouted, if you want to fight, let's fight. Chapter 223. Shou Ho had the fiery eyes of truth, and his eyesight was unparalleled. Even if he was far away, he could see everything clearly. When he saw Wan Lanxin among the captives, he couldn't help but worry, so he rushed to shout. Wan Lanxin had a close relationship with his elder brother. If something happened to Wan Lanxin, his elder brother would definitely be very sad. When Fun Yaoyang heard the clamor of the younger generation, he didn't want to admit defeat. He responded strongly, "Barbarians, don't be so arrogant. We're willing to fight." The major generals beside him also shouted, "Barbarians, don't be so arrogant. We're willing to fight." The soldiers on both sides shouted loudly. It was no longer easy for the higher-ups to suppress them. Fun Tianxiong had no choice but to respond, "Okay, let the young people fight. We won't interfere." Therefore, both sides proposed to fight at the same level or even at a higher level. No matter which side won the battle, they would be able to save a captive. If they lost, not only would they not be able to save the captive, they would also lose their lives. This was a battle of life and death. In order to prevent the soldiers from making a fuss here, both sides had to choose 100 people to fight so as not to waste time. If the challenger won, he could be the winner or change the winner. In any case, there were no rules. It was only a matter of life and death. Shouho was the first to go up to challenge. Unfortunately, it was not his turn to speak. Everything was under the command of Fun Yaoyang. Shouho was so anxious that he was jumping up and down. Fortunately, his performance on the battlefield had been recognized and Fun Yaoyang had given him a place. Otherwise, he would have gone berserk. Among the 100 people selected by Fun Yaoyang, 10 of them belonged to the Death Legion. A few of them were commanders. 1 or 2 commanders had already fallen in the previous 2 battles. The rest were ruthless people who had fought for their lives in the past 2 days. These 100 people were all experts of the general realm, and each of them had the ability to fight against 10 people at once. They were not only there to save people, but also to represent the dignity of the Great Xia dynasty and the momentum of the upcoming battle. Both sides sent out 100 people, and the battle began. Skinny Monkey wanted to be the first to fight, but he was suppressed by Fun Yaoyang. Instead, he sent another champion. The barbarian race had also sent a person to fight. The battle between the 2 sides had started, and the sounds of roars and shouts could be heard everywhere. It seemed as if they were capable of toppling mountains and overturning seas. The soldiers on both sides were cheering for their men. In the first battle, the barbarian race easily crushed the Great Xia's war general. Furthermore, the barbarian race laughed wantonly and said, "The monkeys of Great Xia can't even withstand a single blow. Ha ha." The second battle was also won easily by the barbarian race. The barbarian race won the third battle. After 7 consecutive battles, Great Xia had lost all of them. The Great Xia soldiers were too embarrassed to say anything. Even the higher-ups and generals had ashen expressions. Is there really no one in the younger generation of the Xia? Fun Tianxiong was extremely angry. "Young Marshal, let me fight." "Right, Jia," she requested. Fun Yaoyang's expression was calm as he said, "All of you are at the back. Their main force hasn't been sent out yet. If all of you go up now, what will happen next? We have to deal with it calmly. I have to go up for this battle." Skinny Monkey appeared in front of Fun Yaoyang with a broken staff and shouted with incomparable determination. Fun Yaoyang glanced at Skinny Monkey and hesitated for a moment before saying, "You should also stay at the back." Fun Yaoyang could feel Skinny Monkey's powerful aura. At the same time, he also knew that Skinny Monkey was old General Zui Yidao's disciple. He didn't want Skinny Monkey to be exposed too early. "I have to go up. I have to save Sister Lanxin." Skinny Monkey faced Fun Yaoyang and shouted loudly, "Brat, are you trying to rebel?" Right, Josh, she glared at Skinny Monkey and shouted. Skinny Monkey couldn't be bothered to say anything more to them. He turned around and rushed toward the empty battle platform. Someone wanted to stop Skinny Monkey, but was stopped by Fun Yaoyang and said, "Let him go. I hope he can give us a surprise." Skinny Monkey rushed onto the battle platform. The barbarian general on the platform disdainfully said, "They sent an even skinnier monkey. It seems that Great Xia really has no one left. Barbarian dog, you deserve to die." Skinny Monkey's eyes were burning with anger as he roared and smashed his broken staff towards the barbarian general's head. This staff was imposing as it flickered with a dense golden light. Its terrifying destructive power was really extraordinary. That barbarian general revealed a trace of astonishment. He blocked in front of him with his combat weapon, and a powerful defensive power enveloped him, making him invincible. However, when Skinny Monkey's staff fell, its destructive power was incomparably ferocious. It directly broke the combat weapon in the barbarian general's hand, and the force of the broken staff ruthlessly landed on the barbarian general's head. Bang! In an instant, the barbarian general's head exploded. Blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. One move to kill a general. In an instant, the barbarian general who had been injected with chicken blood was so stunned that he no longer hooted. On the contrary, the soldiers of Great Xia were in an uproar. "Well done! Great Xia will win! Great Xia will win!" Zhua Dao, who was among the generals, was quite satisfied. He smiled and said, "As expected of my disciple. Not bad, not bad." His old face was flushed red. It was obvious that he was quite happy. The other old generals revealed a bit of envy. To be able to receive such an outstanding disciple was also something to be proud of. "Quickly release Sister Lanxin." Skinny Monkey shouted at the barbarians after killing one of them. Huangfu Luosha smiled faintly and said, "We have the final say on who to release." Immediately after, they released one of the captives. That person was just an ordinary soldier. No one cared about his life or death. Despicable barbarian dog. Who else is there? Hurry up and die. Skinny Monkey was incomparably furious. He thought that by killing one of them, he could save Wan Lanxin. Now, he was wrong. Only by fighting to the end could he possibly save Wan Lanxin. "Don't be arrogant, Great Siam Monkey. I'll kill you." A barbarian general rushed up and shouted. This barbarian general held a golden axe in his hand. His whole body was emitting a golden light, as if a golden barbarian god of war was on the move. Every step he took made the battle platform shake. His mighty momentum was much stronger than that of the previous barbarian general. The golden axe chopped down at Skinny Monkey. The powerful brute force was enough to split mountains and rocks. It was extremely terrifying. Skinny Monkey was not afraid at all. His eyes were shining with a sharp light. He could clearly see the trajectory of the axe attack. He evaded the attack and directly hit the barbarian general's lower body with his broken staff. The barbarian general's weakness was his lower body. He could not defend himself in time. His brute force defense could not block Skinny Monkey's attack. One of his legs was broken by Skinny Monkey on the spot, causing him to fall to the ground in pain. Skinny Monkey would not let go of such an opportunity. He frantically smashed the barbarian general with his broken staff, beating him to a pulp and killing him on the spot. Skinny Monkey's body was covered in blood. He roared again, "Let go of Sister Lan Xin." Wan Lanxin dragged her heavily injured body and looked at Skinny Monkey, who was risking his life for her. She revealed a bleak smile and muttered, "Ooh, having a brother like you, it's worth it." Skinny Monkey won 5 battles in a row. After showing off the momentum of the barbarian army, the barbarians' arrogance fell. They sent out an outstanding barbarian general and prepared to take down Skinny Monkey, who knew that at this time, Fan Yaoyang would order Skinny Monkey to stop fighting and let someone else go up. Skinny Monkey stubbornly replied, "No, even if I have to fight to the death, I have to save Sister Lan Xin. Immediately obey the order. Otherwise, you will be disqualified. Even if you die in battle, it will be useless." Fan Yaoyang took out his majesty as the young marshal and shouted. Skinny Monkey was very dissatisfied, but he could only obey the order to rest. He only hoped that Wan Lanxin would be fine. After he rested enough, he would go up again. While the 2 young men were fighting, in an ice mountain in the north of the Wolf Smoke Mountain, a young man broke out of the ice with a woman who looked like a ghost and a silver tortoise. This young man was Yang Wu, and the woman was Meng Bingxue. They had come out of the small world. After Meng Bingxue took Yang Wu's resurrection pill, her spirit was much better. Her mind was also much clearer, but she had not fully recovered. The main reason was that her soul power was too strong. She needed a heaven pill to fully recover. The resurrection pill was only a Dan King's pill, so its effect was not enough. Fortunately, it could heal her wounds. For her, this was enough for the time being. Yang Wu was also afraid that she would recover immediately. Maybe she would remember the tragic things in the past. It was not good to vent on him. Right now, Meng Bingxue still did not remember the past. She still treated Yang Wu as a close person. It was also because of her powerful instincts that she found the formation of the small world and helped them leave this place. The heavenly fish realm was not able to set up a small world, but she had the ability that kings did not. Without her existence, Yang Wu and the others could only stay in the small world and not come out. The silver tortoise had already completely submitted to Yang Wu. It had eaten the medicinal soup, and its injuries were healed. Its bloodline had improved by another level. As long as it had more ice flood dragon's blood essence, it was confident that it could become a silver tortoise. At that time, its battle strength would be even stronger. Yang Wu naturally would not give it the ice flood dragon's corpse, so it had no choice but to serve Yang Wu well. It obediently called him grandfather. Yang Wu did not like this name, so it was more comfortable to call him young master. Why are my eyelids twitching these 2 days? Did something happen? Yang Wu touched his eyes and wondered. After pausing for a moment, he said to the silver tortoise, "Let's go to the ice wolf's territory first. Little Hay will definitely be fine." Previously, when the ice flood dragon said that it had killed Little Hay, he was so angry that he lost his mind. When he calmed down, he felt that Little Hay would not be killed so easily. She could even subdue the heavenly demon turtle, let alone the ice flood dragon. After Yang Wu and the others appeared, the ice wolves discovered their existence and howled. A wolf. The wolf's howl reverberated in all directions, causing the entire valley to tremble. If it was the previous Yang Wu, without Little Hay by his side, he would definitely be so scared that his legs would go soft. But now he was calm. He did not think that the ice wolves would attack them. "Young master, will anything happen?" The silver tortoise asked worriedly. It knew that there was a heavenly demon ice wolf. If the ice wolf attacked, they might not be able to block it. "Go, you won't die," Yang Wu replied. Chapter 2:24. Even though it was spring in the Ice Wolf Valley, there was still snow falling from the sky. A layer of white crystal armor covered every mountain here, and the mountains were flashing like mirrors. The ice wolves liked this kind of weather. Their demonic energy increased extremely quickly in this kind of weather, and it was also easy for them to hunt. After Yang Wu and the others appeared, they landed in their territory. The Sky Demon Ice Wolf Patriarch appeared in front of Yang Wu and the others with a dozen or so Ice Wolf Kings. "I didn't expect you to be able to come out of the Divine Mountain. It seems like you are all creatures protected by the Divine Mountain." The Ice Wolf King looked at Yang Wu and the others and said faintly. Yang Wu did not know what the Ice Wolf meant by this. He looked at the incomparably strong Sky Demon Wolf and asked, "Where's Little Hay? You should know where it is, right?" "I'm putting it in my cave to recuperate," the Ice Wolf Patriarch replied. Yang Wu said nervously, "I want to see it. Follow me." The Ice Wolf Patriarch replied in an easy manner. Just like that, Yang Wu followed the Ice Wolf Patriarch to a cave. This cave was very spacious. Inside, there were crystals that illuminated the cave. In the center, there was a spirit spring that seeped out, forming a small pool. It was warm and made people feel comfortable. There were 7 sparkling flowers growing in the pool, emitting bursts of fragrance. When the silver-patterned turtle saw the small spirit's spring and flowers, its eyes lit up as it softly exclaimed, "Top-grade spirit spring and 7 ice begonia flowers." These were all very useful to it. It wanted nothing more than to rush over and soak in them. Its physique would be greatly improved, and devouring the ice begonia flowers was even more amazing. Yang Wu also saw it, but he was not as excited as the silver-patterned turtle. He had just obtained the frost spring mysterious essence chi and the heavenly medicine, so the things in front of him would not easily move him. However, he couldn't help but sigh. The cave that the Ice Wolf Patriarch lived in was extraordinary. It's lying there. The chief raised his front paw and pointed in the direction of a protruding rock in the middle of the pool. Yang Wu had already noticed that Xiao He was sleeping soundly on the ground. Xiao He's breath was still there, so he was relieved. Little He was his mentor and friend. She was also his savior, not his dog. He had special feelings for her, and he did not want anything to happen to her. How long has it been asleep? Yang Wu asked. He hasn't woken up since you disappeared, the Ice Wolf Patriarch replied. It's been so long, Yang Wu said worriedly. He paused for a moment, then called out to Little He. Little He, wake up. Little He, we should go back. Little He's spiritual sense was extremely sharp. If she couldn't hear Yang Wu calling out to her, then there must be something wrong. Little He really hadn't woken up. Clearly, there was something wrong with her body. What should we do? Yang Wu was at a loss of what to do. In the past, Little He had always helped him. Now that it was his turn to help Little he really didn't know what to do. You don't have to worry too much. Her condition is improving day by day. I believe she'll be able to recover soon. The Ice Wolf Patriarch comforted him. It would be great if that were the case. Yang Wu sighed. Young master, the immortal emperor might be evolving. Once she wakes up, she'll become even more powerful, the silver-patterned turtle agreed. Is that so? That's right. Like us, there are those who can sleep for 1,000 years. Once we wake up, our bodies will undergo a new round of evolution. She's not from the turtle clan. Yang Wu was speechless. After pausing for a moment, he thought about it and said, I'm relieved that Little He is recuperating with you. I'll come back to see her in a while. I have to leave now. He kept having the feeling that something was about to happen. This feeling made him very uneasy. He couldn't relax until he returned to the army to take a look. Sure, there's a tiger outside. You can take it with you, the Ice Wolf Patriarch said. Then, he added, I'll give you something. The next time you come in my clan, you won't be attacked. The Ice Wolf Patriarch took out a wolf tooth and gave it to Yang Wu. This wolf tooth was bigger and sharper than the one Yang Wu had obtained from Lang Jie. The demonic chi it emitted was even stronger. Thank you very much. Yang Wu cupped his hands and thanked him. After a pause, he said, Can I take some supreme grade Earth Spirit Spring? In the mountain prison, Yang Wu had obtained some Earth Spirit Spring, but unfortunately, Little He had drunk it all. Now, the Earth Spirit Spring was of the highest grade and was even more valuable. How could he not be tempted? Sure, take one ice begonia flower as well. Consider it a good karma. You are fated with the Divine Mountain. Perhaps you can help me reach a higher level in the future. The Ice Wolf Patriarch said very sincerely. I have to say, Lord Ice Wolf, you've made a very great decision. Yang Wu gave the Ice Wolf Patriarch a thumbs up. Thus, Yang Wu took some supreme grade Earth Spirit Spring and an ice begonia flower. At the same time, the Ice Wolf Patriarch told Yang Wu that there was a fire cloud tiger outside and that it might be about to freeze to death. Yang Wu saw that Little He didn't show any signs of waking up. So he bade farewell to the Ice Wolf Patriarch and left its cave abode to find the fire cloud tiger huddled in a corner. When the fire cloud tiger saw Yang Wu, it was as though it had seen its second parent. It jumped up and cried, Master, you're finally back. I thought I would never see you again. It really couldn't wait to pounce on Yang Wu for warmth. Not only did it feel cold, but it also felt uncomfortable being stared at by so many ice wolves all day. It couldn't run around, so it was really aggrieved. What a wretch. Yang Wu kicked the fire cloud tiger and cursed. The fire cloud tiger said shamelessly, Master is right. Master, are we leaving? We are leaving, but stay here and wait for Little He to wake up. I need to rush back as soon as possible, so I won't bring you along. Yang Wu hesitated for a moment before saying. He felt more and more flustered, and his eyelids kept twitching. He had to rush back to the army as quickly as possible to check on the situation. Don't, Master. I will definitely serve you loyally and be the wisest tiger rider. Take me with you. The Fire Cloud Tiger was about to cry. It really didn't want to stay in this place where thousands of wolves lived. Even if it was the king of beasts, it couldn't defeat so many wolves. It could only be bullied. Look at your cowardly appearance. I've already talked to Lord Ice Wolf. You can stay here peacefully. When Little He recovers, you will be rewarded. After Yang Wu said that, he ignored the Fire Cloud Tiger and quickly rushed back to the Barbarian Suppression Army with Meng Bingxue and the silver-patterned turtle. They were quite far away from here. If they walked, it would take at least a few days to get back. However, if they flew at full speed, it would greatly shorten the time. Son of a bitch, let's go. Yang Wu stood on the back of the silver-patterned turtle and urged. The silver-patterned turtle was a water demon. Even though it had reached the level of a demon king and could fly, it was still not as fast as the silver-patterned turtle in the water. Right now, the ice in the water had already melted. The silver-patterned turtle could quickly bring Yang Wu back through the water. Yang Wu urged the silver-patterned turtle with all his might. It was also very diligent, and its speed was many times faster than before. Xiao xiao. The water was half frozen and half frozen, but couldn't slow down the silver-patterned turtle's speed. Soon, a long trail of water was left behind in the river. Please don't let anything happen to it, Yang Wu muttered as he touched his eyelids. After a day of rushing, the silver-patterned turtle brought Yang Wu back to the water area closest to the barbarian suppression army. Then, they left the water area and prepared to fly back to the barbarian suppression army. When the silver-patterned turtle took to the air, Yang Wu realized that the silver-patterned turtle's flying speed was pitifully slow. He immediately said with disdain, "I'll fly by myself." Yang Wu didn't care whether the silver-patterned turtle followed or not. He directly opened his ice blade wings. The silver wings were many times longer than before, and there was also an extremely cold qi coming out of them, causing the surrounding air to quickly drop in temperature. This was a huge change after Yang Wu broke through to the Earth-Sea realm and absorbed the Frost Spring Qianqi. The ice blade wings would bring him great benefits. Bingxue, let's go. Yang Wu called out to Meng Bingxue. The two of them soared into the sky and quickly rushed towards the barbarian suppression army. Young master, wait for me. The silver-patterned turtle didn't hesitate to chase after them. Right now, it had to hug Yang Wu's thigh. It also wanted to get the ice flood dragon's essence blood to further evolve. It didn't matter even if it had to become a mount. If it missed this opportunity, it wouldn't be able to get another one in its lifetime. Yang Wu was burning with anxiety. He flapped his ice blade wings, and waves of cold qi drifted out. A strong wind was generated, and his body soared into the sky like a swallow. His speed was definitely faster than those middle-level kings, and was comparable to a high-level king. After all, his ice blade wings were real wings, and not condensed from Qianqi. This was something that other kings couldn't compare with. After flying for a while, Yang Wu still wasn't satisfied. At this rate, it will take at least half a day to get back. I need to get back in 2 hours. I need to be faster. Yang Wu mobilized the power of his peach core dantian and gathered it in his kidneys. This made the power of his wings even stronger, and the wings flapped even faster. At the same time, he also activated his bloodline battle spirit, which made his strength reach another level. His speed suddenly soared again, and actually reached the speed of a top-level king. This was simply shocking. Wherever Yang Wu passed, the trees were directly frozen into frost. This kind of power was also incomparably tyrannical. Fortunately, Meng Bingshue's cultivation was much higher than Yang Wu's, so she could easily follow behind him. As for the silver-patterned tortoise, it had been pulled far away. Even though it was a mid-level demon king, it could only look on and sigh. Young master is indeed a heaven-sent hero. He is qualified to have me be his mount. Those bastards from a few months ago are far inferior to young master. When Yang Wu rushed back, the barbarian suppression army had already begun to behead dozens of captives. Wan Lanqing's life was in danger. Chapter 225. Due to the fierce battles between the barbarian army and the barbarian army all year round, this was a wide and specially used passage for war. Now, the two armies were once again facing each other here. The two armies did not start fighting, but instead there was an empty battle platform where the young generals of the two armies were fighting. This battle had already lasted for a day and a night. The barbarian race had 145 battles, while the Great Xia dynasty had only 114 battles. The gap between the two was really too big. This ratio of victories and losses made the people of Great Xia completely lose their temper. In a one-on-one situation, Their combat power was really too weak compared to the barbarian race. The Great Xia dynasty only had 30 barbarian race captives. After the barbarian race won 30 battles, the Great Xia dynasty did not have any more captives to trade. Therefore, the barbarian race only needed to win one battle to kill a Great Xia captive until the end of the 100 battles. Now that more than 10 captives have been killed on the spot, the barbarian race would definitely not show mercy to the people of Great Xia. After Shou Ho won 5 battles in a row, he was suppressed by Fan Yaoyang and was now about to go berserk. He could not watch as Wan Lanxin was killed. They had won 14 battles, and the barbarian race had released 14 people, but they were all ordinary captives. They did not release Wan Lanxin or the King Realm Deputy General at all. Shou Ho could ignore the life and death of others, but he could not ignore Wan Lanxin's life and death. You're all too weak. Let me go up and beat them up. I want to save Sister Lanxin. Shou Ho shouted at Fan Yaoyang and the others. If it were not for the King Realm Deputy General, Shou Ho would have killed his way over regardless of the consequences. Don't think that you are invincible just because you won a few battles. Young Marshal, let me go up. I will definitely beat the crap out of them. Right, Tashi, she said with a high-spirited expression as he bumped his fists together. Fan Yaoyang nodded lightly and said, "You can only win this battle. You're not allowed to lose." Okay. Right, Ja, she was already impatient. He shouted and rushed to the fighting ring. Skinny Monkey's eyes were on fire. He said to Fan Yaoyang, "If he loses this battle, I will take over. If he doesn't win, I'll go." Fan Yaoyang didn't want to listen to Skinny Monkey's nonsense, so he decisively responded. When the Skinny Monkey-like man heard Fan Yaoyang's words, he didn't have any reason to be angry. His anger was simply useless. He sighed in his heart. "Big brother, where are you? Why haven't you come back yet?" The Skinny Monkey felt that as long as his big brother could come back, he might be able to create a miracle. As for himself, he did not have the ability to do so. Right, Ja, she was a top-notch general realm martial artist who was known for his strength. He was a major general, and his battle prowess was definitely top-notch among the younger generation. The reason why Fan Yaoyang allowed him to go on stage was to regain some face. In the eyes of the people of the Xia, Right, Ja, she was already a very tall person. However, when he stood in front of Barbarian General, he still seemed very ordinary. They sent another damn monkey. Let's see how many punches he can take. Barbarian General looked at Right, Ja, and said with a face of disdain. This Barbarian General had already won 3 battles in a row. His combat capability was quite valiant, and he could defeat his opponent within 10 moves. Right, Ja, she slowly put on a pair of boxing gloves. These boxing gloves were inlaid with cones that were very sharp. Once someone was hit, they would definitely be severely injured. After Right, Ja, she got into a fighting stance. He crooked his finger at Barbarian General and said, "Come, I'll let you see what a boxing technique is." "Who do you think you are? I'll blow you up with one punch." Barbarian General shouted and rushed towards Right, Ja. Every step he took created a deep pit on the ground. His imposing manner was very powerful, as if a bull was attacking. Bull fist. Barbarian General condensed all the strength in his body into a bull and threw 3 punches at Right, Ja. The strength of each punch was extremely tyrannical. The 3 punches caused the sand and pebbles on the ground to fly. A shadow suddenly appeared on Right, Ja's body, and a praying mantis emerged. He sneered and took strange steps to dodge his opponent's 3 punches. Then, he launched a counterattack. Praying mantis bayonet fist. This was Right, Ja's strongest combat fist. It was a high-grade general technique. He had already cultivated it to the realm of great success. Not only was it powerful, but it was also very tricky. Whenever he attacked, there would always be blood. This time was no exception. He directly punched the side of Barbarian General's abdomen. The cones on the boxing gloves pierced into Barbarian General's flesh, causing him to scream in pain. Barbarian General's defense was actually unable to block his punches. However, Barbarian General wasn't someone to be trifled with. He endured the pain and launched a counterattack. Right, Jashi moved and dodged. The praying mantis bayonet punches continued to come from unexpected directions. 6 of the 10 punches were successful, causing Barbarian General to continuously suffer from pain and injuries. Barbarian General wasn't stupid. He purposely showed a flaw and let Right Jashi come in. Barbarian General clamped Right Jashi's arm and roared, "Let's see where you can run to now." Barbarian General directly used his head to hit Right Jashi's head. Bang! Right Jashi's head was broken and bleeding. It was the first time he suffered a big loss. This aroused Right Jashi's bloodlust. He lifted his knee and heavily hit Right Jashi's crotch. Barbarian General reacted quickly and quickly clamped Right Jashi's thigh. The two of them were entangled with each other. In the end, it was Right Jashi's fist that landed on Barbarian General's temple. He defeated Barbarian General with difficulty and saved Great Xia. Fun Yaoyang quickly got someone to replace Right Jashi. He let Right Jashi rest first and couldn't continue fighting. Shouho wanted to fight again, but he was suppressed by Fun Yaoyang. He said to Shouho, "The barbarian army knows that you want to save Wan Lanxin. They won't let her go. It's useless for you to fight now. Even if I die in battle, I will save Sister Lanxin. Otherwise, I will be ashamed to face my elder brother," Shouho said solemnly. 3 more rounds. If we lose these 3 rounds, I'll let you fight. Fun Yaoyang promised. "Okay, you said it. If you go back on your words, I will definitely fight with you." Shouho suppressed his anger. "Huadong Shui, you fight." Fun Yaoyang shouted to the fierce general beside him. Huadong Shui's strength was not inferior to Right Jashi's. He didn't participate in the competition for the position of young marshal and major general, so he didn't have much reputation. However, as the first confidant of Fun Yaoyang, his strength was needless to say. On the barbarian army's side, the strongest young warrior, Huangfu Luosha, said to his companion next to him, "Dan, now is the time for you to make a contribution. Are you going to fight?" The young man named Dun replied, "Of course, I've been waiting for a long time." "Good. I'm looking forward to your victory," Huangfu Luosha said with a faint smile. Dan's young man was Hu Yindan, who had been scared away by Yang Wu in the Wolf Smoke Mountains. He had broken through to the top general realm and had the second layer of brute force. He was one of the best among the young barbarians. Hu Yinda and had a bad history. This time, he was determined to wash away the stain and prove that he was one of the strongest warriors once again. Hu Yinda and rushed to the fighting ring with his Fangtian halberd and fought fiercely with Huadong Shui. Hu Yinda and was different from other barbarians. Not only did he have great brute force, but he also cultivated a speed-type combat skill. His figure was extremely agile. As soon as he entered the ring, he completely suppressed Huadong Shui. His airtight attacks made Huadong Shui retreat step by step. However, Huadong Shui was able to become Fun Yaoyang's confidant because he had his own strengths. He kept retreating, but at the critical moment, he broke out with a stunning sword technique and stabbed Hu Yinda in his chest. Hu Yinda originally thought that this sword could kill Hu Yinda, but who knew that Hu Yinda was wearing a king-level inner armor, which blocked his sword. Hu Yinda took advantage of the opportunity to launch a series of explosive attacks on Huadong Shui, smashing him into a pool of blood on the spot. "Dong Shui," Fun Yaoyang said with an extremely sorrowful expression. "Ah, we can kill another captive." The barbarians laughed wildly. A great Xia captive's head was chopped off by a barbarian soldier, and he died. After 3 more rounds, "We will kill this woman," Huangfu Luosha shouted while pointing at Wan Lanxin. He was obviously trying to provoke the great Xia soldiers. "If you dare to touch a single strand of her hair, I will tear you to pieces," Shouho shouted angrily. "Is that so? Then I will make a move." Huangfu Luosha laughed and walked over to Wan Lanxin. He ruthlessly slapped her face. Smack! This crisp sound was very loud, as if the slap had landed on the faces of all the great Xia soldiers. "Ah, you deserve to die." Shouho's eyes emitted a dense golden light as he roared. Shouho couldn't help but rush to the fighting ring. He didn't have time to pay attention to Fun Yaoyang's order. He only knew that he had to win continuously until he rescued Wan Lanxin. "You are the only monkey with a winning streak. Trampling on you should be enough to make the great Xia soldiers despair." Hu Yin-dan said. Shouho didn't talk nonsense with him at all. He rushed up with his broken staff and attacked like a storm. Every flash of golden light was like a meteor streaking across the sky. The momentum of the attack was extremely shocking. Hu Yin-dan was already prepared. He held his Fangtian halberd and fought fiercely with Shouho. Hu Yin-dan was one realm higher than Shouho. He felt that he could suppress Shouho, and in fact, he was. He and Shouho were evenly matched, and the battle was extremely intense. However, Shouho had the fiery eyes of truth. His eyesight was his biggest advantage. Hu Yin-dan's attacks were like nothing in front of him. He could see through Shouho's attacks and continuously attacked him. Hu Yin-dan relied on his body's defense and didn't suffer any serious injuries. He also broke out with all his strength, wanting to suppress Shouho, who knew that Shouho's aura would suddenly change at this moment. A series of strange sounds could be heard from his body. At this moment, he had broken through his realm and reached the top of the general realm. Bastard, you want to break through here? Impossible. Hu Yin-dan didn't want to give Shouho a chance. He held his Fangtian halberd and attacked with his strongest attack, Heavenly Wheel Descent. The Fangtian halberd in Hu Yin-dan's hand seemed to have transformed into a huge heavenly wheel. It rotated with bursts of light and smashed down from the sky towards Shouho, who was in the midst of breaking through. This was at least 200 ding of brute force. The second layer of brute force was fully released. Chapter 226. These man-devouring birds are truly abominable. They're delaying this captain's journey. In the sky above the Wolf Smoke Mountain, a young man and a woman were being attacked by a large number of man-eating birds. These man-eating birds were not very big. Their beaks were long and sharp, and they liked to eat human flesh. They did not have any intelligence. No matter how strong Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue were, they were still throwing themselves at them. Yang Wu's heart was like an arrow, his arms swinging left and right like a bow, blasting out one fist after another. All of these human-devouring birds exploded. With this obstruction, Yang Wu's return speed was greatly reduced, which made him extremely vexed. These man-eating birds were not Yang Wu's final obstacle. After he and Meng Bingxue killed them, it started to rain. The rain was so cold that it could freeze one's bones. For Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue, these man-eating birds would only become their energy. If it was a normal time, Yang Wu would be happy to improve his strength in this rain. However, he did not have the mood to do so now. He hated the rain because it blocked his vision and made him slow down. He had to check the direction from time to time. Originally, he only had half an hour to go back to where the barbarian army was. Now, it would take him at least 2 hours. If Meng Bingxue could show him the way, it would be much easier. Unfortunately, she did not know where Yang Wu was going, and she was not very smart. The rain was not only falling in Yang Wu's direction, it was also falling in the direction of the battlefield. The barbarian army's tallest generals were standing on the high ground, watching the battle. The barbarian race's talent is not something we can compare with. However, this is not the reason why we keep losing, Fen Tianxiong said with a gloomy face. As the highest commander, how could he be calm when he saw so many young generals die? He was heartbroken for them and worried for the people of the Xia Kingdom. The barbarian race has the advantage. I think we have been fooled, Su Tinghong said. Why do you think so? Fen Tianxiong asked. They're trying to kill off all the geniuses of our younger generation, breaking our foundation. Su Tinghong guessed. This is a fair battle. Young people can't handle it, and it'll be difficult for them to replace us old people in the future. Let's treat it as letting them recognize the truth and work harder in the future. Nan Qichin said. Before this, his daughter, Nan Runin, had also gone up to fight. She had barely managed to kill a barbarian general. This was the only thing that made him feel gratified. At least he didn't have to see his daughter die so quickly. That skinny brat on the battlefield isn't bad. Why didn't we have any news about him before? Fen Tianxiong asked. That's the disciple that General Zhuo Yidao took in from the Death Legion. He really has good foresight. He should be able to win another battle. Someone echoed. So that's how it is. If he doesn't die after 100 battles, I'll promote him to Major General. Fu Tianxiong was very satisfied with Skinny Monkey's performance. On the battlefield, Kuyenda and used his ultimate move. The destruction it caused was incomparably shocking. That tyrannical brute force wreaked havoc on the ground, causing deep pits to appear. A lot of sand and stones were sent flying, and waves of energy surged. Skinny Monkey, who was in the midst of breaking through, raised his broken staff to block the attack. His body was ruthlessly smashed into the ground. Just when everyone thought that he was going to lose, two fiery golden rays shot out from his eyes. In an instant, they pierced through Huyenda's defense and landed on his face. Two holes were pierced through his face. Huyenda didn't even have time to let out a blood-curdling scream before he died on the spot. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that he would be killed here. He was one of the strongest young warriors. Skinny Monkey's attack stunned everyone. Well done. The great Xia soldiers all shouted in unison. Quickly release the captives. Fun Yaoyong urged the barbarian army to release the captives. Release him. Huangfu Luosha pointed at a captive beside Wan Lanxin and said. He deliberately didn't release Wan Lanxin. It was obvious that he wanted to provoke Skinny Monkey and the dignity of the great Xia soldiers. Who will go up next? He has a rare eye technique. You must be careful. Huangfu Luosha reminded. Who cares what eye technique he has? As long as we are careful, we will definitely be able to take him down. I will fight this battle. A barbarian general volunteered. Thus, this barbarian general with two swords rushed into the battlefield to kill Skinny Monkey. He didn't intend to give Skinny Monkey even the slightest chance to breathe. Before the barbarian general arrived in front of Skinny Monkey, the attack of his two swords had already transformed into two overbearing rainbows that enveloped Skinny Monkey. He wanted to cut him into pieces on the spot. Skinny Monkey was still trying his best to break through. A large amount of Xian Qi from heaven and earth rushed into his body. His eyes became increasingly scarlet, as if there were flames coming out of them. His body was also undergoing changes. His muscles swelled until his clothes were torn apart, and his fur was rapidly growing. Roar! When the power of the two swords fell, Skinny Monkey finally transformed. It was as if he had turned into an ape. He looked up to the sky and roared wildly. This terrifying strength shook the power of the two swords to the point that it almost collapsed. He raised his hands and struck the two swords, shattering them on the spot. I don't care if you are a human or a demon. I will kill you all the same. The barbarian general with two swords mustered all his strength and shouted loudly. His two swords were filled with a strong brute force as he once again slashed at Skinny Monkey with all his might. Kill! Skinny Monkey seemed to have lost his mind. He only had a strong will to fight. A powerful golden firepower erupted from his broken cudgel and swept it over to meet force with force. Boom, boom. Skinny Monkey's broken cudgel shattered the two swords' radiance. The broken cudgel continued to attack with an unstoppable force, shattering the barbarian general's defense. Even his arms were fractured on the spot. Skinny Monkey had turned the barbarian general into a meat patty in an instant. This kind of abnormal combat strength was really beyond the strength of a general at the same level. It was incomparably powerful. Skinny Monkey used his brutal strength to kill the barbarian general. Everyone stared at him with wide eyes, trying to figure out what kind of secret technique he used or what kind of mutation caused this. Skinny Monkey didn't care about being the center of attention at all. He stared at Huangfu Luosha in the distance and shouted, "What will it take for you to let Sister Lanxin go? You can name any condition you want." Skinny Monkey only had one purpose for risking his life, and that was to save Wan Lanxin. Wan Lanxin was extremely moved. She cried and said in a hoarse voice, "Sundo, don't worry about me. Take care of yourself. No, Big Brother isn't here. I have the responsibility to save you." Skinny Monkey said with incomparable determination, "Since you are so loyal, how can I not fulfill your wish? As long as you can defeat 10 people from my side in one go, I will let her go. I won't go back on my word." Huangfu Luosha suggested with a cold smile. "That's not fair. As long as he wins one more battle in a row, let her go." Fanyaoyong hurriedly agreed. No need, I agree. Send 10 of you out. I will kill them, and you will let Sister Launching go. Skinny Monkey said with great determination. He really didn't want to wait any longer. He was confident enough to fight 10 people. Straightforward. Shirbei, Meng Chui, the 10 of you go. Huangfu Luosha called out names in succession. Among these 10 people, 3 or 4 of them were among the strongest young warriors. The rest were also fierce generals. If they joined forces, there was absolutely no one in the general realm who could deal with them. Moreover, they also knew how to combine formations. This was the reason why Huangfu Luosha asked them to fight. It was because they would definitely win. The 10 people walked toward the battle platform one after another. Shirbei and Meng Chui were the 2 most powerful people. They were also the core of the formation. They stood in advantageous positions and cooperated with the other 8 people to surround Skinny Monkey. Shirbei shouted, "Rock-shifting sea-filling formation, kill." The 10 of them released powerful brute force at the same time and formed a circle. Then, they began to constantly change positions and attack Skinny Monkey at the same time. It was as if huge rocks were smashing at him. Their auras were suppressing the Skinny Monkey. Their impenetrable power formed a field of rubble, and there were no flaws at all. Bang bang. Skinny Monkey couldn't focus on using his fiery eyes of truth to see through the formation's weakness. He swung his broken staff to fight against these forces. He swung his staff again and again, smashing the rubble into pieces. He was ready to get close to one of them and knock him down first. Then, he should be able to break the formation. However, the rock-shifting sea-filling formation was an extraordinary battle formation. The 10 people cooperated seamlessly, so he couldn't get close to them at all. He was tired out dealing with them. Even though Skinny Monkey had reached the top of the general realm and had activated his talent, turning into the strongest combat body, he was still at a disadvantage in this formation. His face was punched, his waist was kicked, and his feet were beaten. Blood kept spurting out of his body, making him look extremely miserable. This great Xiao Monkey is dead for sure. Huangfu Luosha sneered. Just kill me. Wan Lanxin really didn't want to see Skinny Monkey suffer. As long as she died, Skinny Monkey might not fight with his life anymore. When he's dead, we'll send you on your way together. Huangfu Luosha replied ruthlessly. On the great Xia side, Zhou Yidao's body emitted a vicious aura. He gritted his teeth and said, "If anything happens to Sun Do, I'll definitely make the barbarians pay the price." Skinny Monkey was attacked again and again. His body was beaten until it was covered in blood, but he still persisted in fighting and slowly looked for the best opportunity to counterattack. However, after he observed the pattern of the formation, he used his eye technique again and injured one of them. The formation was instantly thrown into chaos. He roared with high fighting spirit. "This time, it's your turn to die." Heaven battling Earth Staff. Skinny Monkey blasted out an incomparably stunning attack. The broken staff seemed to be able to slay dragons and phoenixes. Every strike of the staff burst out with dazzling brilliance. In an instant, 49 staff shadows appeared and hit the 10 barbarian generals. Bang! Bang! The 10 barbarian generals were unable to block this terrifying attack. Their flesh and skin were split open, their arms and legs were broken, and even their heads were severed. They were scattered in different directions, and it was difficult for them to stand up again. "Let her go." Skinny Monkey looked at Huangfu Luosha and shouted, "Hee, kill her for me." Huangfu Luosha ordered the barbarian beside Wan Lanxin. "Yes, sir," the barbarian shouted and raised his sword to chop Wan Lanxin. At the same time, Yang Wu had just arrived. Through the frost and rain, he saw a flash of cold light. It made him feel as if a knife was piercing his heart. He covered his chest and roared, "Who dares to kill my sister? I'll kill your 9 generations." Chapter 227. Yang Wu had been frantically rushing. First, he encountered the man-devouring birds, then the frost rain. These were all delaying him every second. At this critical moment, Yang Wu still managed to arrive. Unfortunately, when he arrived, Wan Lanxin was about to be beheaded by the barbarians. Shou Ho won 10 people, but the barbarians actually violated the agreement. Not only did they not release Wan Lanxin, but they also wanted to kill her on the spot. This thoroughly angered him. When Yang Wu shouted, he also roared, "Release Sister Lanxin." He did not care about the blood on his body. In the frost rain, he recklessly rushed towards the barbarians. Even if the barbarians had thousands of soldiers and horses in front of him, he still threw caution to the wind and did not hesitate. The swordsmen beside Wan Lanxin had already raised their swords high and ruthlessly chopped down towards Wan Lanxin's neck. The swords flickered, making the people of the Xia angry. Huangfu Luosha ignored those angry roars. His heart was full of satisfaction. This was the effect he wanted. The frost rain fell on the flowers. Waves of coldness spread throughout the world. Wan Lanxin felt her body was very cold. She wanted to die a little earlier to be free. Suddenly, she heard the sound of the rain, igniting a little bit of hope in her to live. "Is it martial arts?" Wan Lanxin asked in her heart. For years ago, a young girl in blue was riding on a fierce colt. She looked at the little brat behind her provocatively and said, "If you can climb Little Red, I'll ride with you once. Do you have the ability to do so?" "Sister Lan Xin, you're looking down on me. I'm already a martial soldier. It is nothing for me to climb onto a horse. Watch me. Io, how can this horse jump so high? I'm going to fall to my death. Damn it, I don't believe I can't climb up. I want to hold Sister Lanxin and gallop. How can this little fierce horse dare to resist me? I'm going to fall to my death. This is a demon horse, not an ordinary wild horse. Give up. This is a fierce colt that has reached the level of a demon warrior. With your little bit of strength, you won't be able to mount it. No, I won't give up. I want to ride with Sister Lan Xin." In the end, the little brat broke more than a dozen bones, but he still persevered. The young girl's heart softened, and she helped him onto the horse, urging it to gallop. That stubborn and delicate face gradually turned into the handsome and resolute face of a young man. He was no longer a brat, but a person who could make decisions in the military. "Goodbye, Marshal." Wan Lanxin could already feel the descending blade aura closing in. She closed her eyes and waited for death. She wanted to see the face that she had been thinking about day and night. It was as if it was right in front of her, but it was very far away. Skinny monkey-like a technique burst out, and two sharp blade-like forces shot straight at the swordsman. However, the distance between them was not close, so his attack couldn't hit the swordsman immediately. Moreover, the barbarian king was blocking the attack. "No!" Skinny monkey-like shouted. His body tripped over a rock, and he fell heavily on the ground. Muddy soil covered his entire body. Fun Yaoyang liked Wan Lanxin, but at this moment, he could only watch helplessly as he was about to be killed. His heart burned with a raging fire, and he roared towards the sky. No! The sky was raining, and people were crying. The blade aura finally fell, and a drop of rain turned into an arrow, breaking through the air. No one noticed the existence of this drop of water, and it had already landed on the blade. Ding! The large blade broke. The blade edge brushed past Wan Lanxin's neck, cutting off a few strands of hair, but it didn't really cut off her head. Unknowingly, in the middle of the frost rain, a figure quietly appeared. This figure had a pair of silver wings, and his resolute and handsome face was filled with anger. His eyes were almost emitting flames, and his body was suffused with a dense cold air, even more intense than the cold air of the frost rain. It was Yang Wu, who had rushed back in time. If he was one step slower, he could only watch Wan Lanxin's head being separated from her body. As for Meng Bingxue, she didn't appear, but it didn't mean she wasn't there. That broken blade was her masterpiece. Otherwise, Wan Lanxin would have been dead. Yang Wu's appearance caused quite a commotion. Many kings sensed his presence, and they all looked towards him. "A king is approaching. Increase the alert." A barbarian king lightly shouted. "A king can't change anything." Another barbarian king echoed. In the frost rain, not many people could see Yang Wu's appearance clearly, and the Great Xia dynasty was the same. They were guessing whether he was a friend or a foe. Yang Wu's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already landed in front of Shou. He didn't directly rush over, because his sister was important, but his brother was also important. There were already barbarians rushing over to kill Shou. Shou's potential was too great, and once he became a king, no one would be able to stop him. The three barbarian generals only had one target, Shou. They didn't care about Yang Wu's appearance, and they raised the battle weapons in their hands and madly attacked. Hippopotamus waves. Barbarian elephant hits the mountain. Lone moon splits the clouds. The three barbarian generals attacked mercilessly, and they used all their strength to attack Yang Wu and Shou. They had to kill both of them at the same time. The rolling waves of attack broke through the frost rain and bombarded continuously. Boom! Boom! These attacks attracted the attention of most people, and for the time being, no one cared about Wan Lanxin's life or death. Bastard, you dare to touch my disciple. I'll slaughter you barbarian dogs. Idaozwa couldn't help but draw his blade and swear. A shocking blade broke through the sky, and the frost rain was split apart. This was a king's vow that he wouldn't rest until he was dead. When the attacks of the three barbarian generals disappeared, they revealed an incomparably shocked expression, and all of them shouted in unison, "Impossible!" Not only were the two people in front of them fine, but the youth who came later helped the youth who fell down and lightly patted the soil on the youth's body. "Brother, I've troubled you." Shou looked at Yang Wu, who was close by, and his eyes were filled with manly tears. "Big brother, you're finally back. You can go back. Leave the rest to me." Yang Wu patted Shou's shoulder and said. He came back late, but from Shou's actions, he could see everything. Shou did it for Wan Lanxin and also for him. His heart was full of gratitude. Such a brother was worth cherishing for a lifetime. "Yes, boss, be careful." Shou responded softly, and without the slightest bit of sloppiness, he dragged his injured body back to the barbarian army. Fun Yaoyang scolded. "Barbarians, do you have any shame? You obviously won, but you still want to go back on your words. Is this the barbarian race's character of honoring promises? Simply shameless. Why are we talking nonsense with them? Let's just fight." Someone shouted in dissatisfaction. "That's right, we'll have to fight sooner or later, so why bother talking about rules with them? Barbarian dogs, what do you know about morality? They are very cunning. Let's fight to the death with them." The great Xia soldiers were enraged by the barbarians and began to angrily shout. Their individual strength was inferior to the barbarians, but it did not mean that they would lose to them in a group battle. They had more people than the barbarians, and this was their advantage. At this time, Fan Tianxiong had to stand up. He shouted at the barbarian patriarch from afar. "Huangfu Zhanxiong, is this the fair fight you agreed on? If so, then let's fight. There's no need to continue this competition." Huangfu Zhanxiong remained silent. He could understand Huangfu Luosha's actions. Only by making the great Xia soldiers lose their minds could they take advantage of the situation. But now, he actually saw that the young man who was supposed to be dead was actually still alive. He began to panic. He was afraid that the young man would appear with a heavenly demon. If that happened, the outcome of their battle would be heavily tilted to one side. Huangfu Zhanxiong was indeed worthy of being the patriarch of a great Xia tribe. He calmly replied to Fan Tianxiong, "This is our fault. I will give you an explanation." Then, he ordered Huangfu Luosha. Luosha released the 50 captives and that general. It had to be said that Huangfu Zhanxiong's move was quite brilliant. He released 50 captives and that general in one go. This was a great show of sincerity. Huangfu Luosha did not disobey Huangfu Zhanxiong's order and began to release the captives. However, Yang Wu, who was standing in the rain, suddenly said, "I don't agree." His voice was not loud, but it fell into the ears of both sides, giving them a very strange feeling of pressure. "Who do you think you are? You have no right to speak." One of the barbarian generals who attacked Shou pointed at Yang Wu and shouted. At this moment, the three barbarian generals had already retreated quite a bit and were about 60 meters away. This was a safe distance, and they felt that Yang Wu could no longer threaten them. Yang Wu did not speak to that person at all. He just casually waved his arm, and the frost rain suddenly condensed into a sharp blade that stabbed towards that person. This move was incomparably stunning and also relatively fast. It was impossible for people to react. The sharp blade condensed from the frost rain broke through the 60-meter distance and ruthlessly stabbed into that person's throat. PFFF. That barbarian general only felt pain and fell straight to the ground, unconscious. The two people beside him were shocked and did not even dare to let out a fart. They turned around and ran back to their camp. "You hurt my brother, and you want to leave just like that?" Yang Wu said calmly. He then continuously waved his arm, and the two frost rain swords once again charged forward. The barbarian kings on the side of the barbarians already knew that Yang Wu was extraordinary. The barbarian king shouted, "Don't be so arrogant." The barbarian king wanted to swoop down to block Yang Wu's attack. Unfortunately, Yang Wu's attack was one step faster and nailed the two barbarians to death in front of everyone. The three top-notch barbarian generals were actually killed by Yang Wu with just a raise of his hand. This kind of shocking method made people feel dumbfounded. Yang Wu has become a barbarian king. This was the sentence that popped up in the minds of all the great Xia soldiers. Yang Wu raised his head, allowing the frost rain to hit his face, and said faintly, "Today, none of you barbarians can leave." Chapter 228. Today, none of you barbarians can leave. When these words were heard, both sides doubted if they had heard wrongly. Even top-notch King Tears wouldn't dare to say something like this when two armies were facing off against each other. This was because both sides had King Tears, and there was more than one of them. If a battle really broke out, it was still unclear who would emerge victorious. The overall combat ability of the barbarians was stronger than that of Great Xia, but they had fewer people. This was also the reason why the barbarians had not been able to break through Great Xia's defensive line. Moreover, there were heaven-defying combat geniuses in Great Xia who were always able to turn the tide and change the situation. For example, in the duel between the younger generation, the barbarians had achieved an overwhelming victory. However, Sun Do was able to change the situation and completely overshadowed their victory. This was also the reason why the barbarians were so anxious to get rid of the skinny monkey. They were afraid that the skinny monkey would grow stronger. If that happened, it would be even more difficult for the barbarians to take down Great Xia. This Great Xia monkey actually dares to spout such arrogant words. Let's chop him into minced meat. Even if he is a king, he doesn't have such ability. Is there something wrong with his brain? This Great Xia monkey loves to boast. Why doesn't he consider what trump cards he has? Does he really think that he can deal with the iron hooves of our barbarian army just because he has some strength? Let's not talk nonsense with them anymore. Let's just start the war. The barbarians did not take Yang Wu's arrogant words to heart. Even if Yang Wu killed 3 barbarian generals with a wave of his hand, they did not think that Yang Wu had the ability to change the situation. However, their chief, Huangfu Zhanxiong, did not think so. He was faintly worried. He might not care about the combat ability of this young man, but he was afraid that this young man would summon the heavenly demon. That would be troublesome. Fun Yaoyang did not know how Yang Wu appeared, so he quickly called for Yang Wu to come back. "Yang Wu, what are you doing? Come back quickly. Stop fooling around." Fun Yaoyang had been influenced by his father since he was young. His impression of the barbarians was that they were brave and ferocious. They could only be dealt with using their wits and should not be easily met with force. He did not think that Yang Wu had the ability to change the situation. Yang Wu did not seem to hear these people's provocations. His gaze locked onto Huangfu Zhanxiong, who was in the center of the barbarian tribe, and he said faintly, "We meet again. Let's settle our previous grudges together. I didn't expect you to be from Great Xia. If I had known, perhaps I wouldn't have sent my troops. However, the arrow has already been knocked on the bow, so you can't stop us," Huangfu Zhanxiong said. This time, everyone was stunned. This was especially so for the Great Xia soldiers. They couldn't figure out how Yang Wu had come into contact with the barbarian chieftain. Could it be that there was some secret between the two of them? Originally, there's nothing much to say about a war between two armies. However, you guys should never have captured my sister. So, All of you could go to hell. After Yang Wu spoke harshly, a strong sense of death was released from the divine court, and it spread toward the barbarian army. At the same time, Yang Wu had entered a state of boiling battle intent. The aura of a king was released, and finally, everyone could clearly feel his current realm. Yang Wu has really become a king. The generals of the barbarian army were all moved as they thought to themselves. Before this, they had only come into contact with Yang Wu when he was just a small warrior in the general realm. In just a few months, Yang Wu had crossed the realm that they had been able to break through for many years. This talent really made them go crazy with jealousy and envy. They all knew that Yang Wu had an extremely powerful and mysterious master. It seemed to be within their expectations that Yang Wu could reach this step. At the same time, they also felt that there might be some changes in this battle because of Yang Wu's appearance. Who do you think you are? How dare you be so presumptuous in front of our chief? Huang Fuluosha was indeed the strongest young warrior of the barbarian race. He was not afraid of Yang Wu's aura and responded strongly. Then, he ordered the people around him, "Kill this woman immediately. Let's see how long he dares to be arrogant." Huang Fuluosha could feel that Yang Wu had come for Wan Lanxin. He wanted to kill this woman in front of Yang Wu even more. This kind of pleasure could not be expressed in words. The barbarian with the broken saber raised his saber again and slashed at Wan Lanxin. Clang! Another section of the broken saber was broken, and the saber missed Wan Lanxin again. What's going on?" the barbarian said with a trembling body. He felt that he had been bewitched to encounter this kind of thing twice in a row. "Bastard, you don't even have the ability to kill a person. Let me do it." Huang Fu Luosha cursed. He pulled out another barbarian sword and slashed at Wan Lanxin again. However, his sword was the same. Before it could fall on Wan Lanxin's neck, it was broken again. "You sneaky bastard, come out quickly." Huang Fu Luosha sensed that something was wrong and immediately shouted in alarm. Yang Wu slowly walked over and said, "You can't kill my sister, but you will pay for her with your lives. It must be him. Kill him." Huang Fu Luosha ordered the people around him. At this time, a barbarian king stepped forward and said, "All of you back off. He is a king. You are not his opponent. Let me deal with this arrogant brat." This was a primary level barbarian king. He was carrying a heavy hammer, and his body was emitting a thick yellow armor. He was emitting an overbearing aura. He locked onto Yang Wu, not allowing Yang Wu to take half a step forward. Yang Wu ignored him and continued to walk forward step by step. He released his death consciousness little by little. This was an incomparably pure consciousness. Once touched, one would definitely be affected. "Go to hell, brat." After the barbarian king shouted in alarm, he swung his heavy hammer at Yang Wu. This heavy hammer was like a falling star. Its terrible power was enough to destroy a small hill. Unfortunately, as soon as he swung his hammer, Yang Wu's will of death had already swept into his divine court, making him feel the taste of death. He recalled the feeling of being almost trampled to death by a huge elephant when he was young. This was not an illusion. It was the feeling of being close to death in his divine court. It still made him feel as if he was there. It was unforgettable. At the moment when his movements were sluggish, Yang Wu put two fingers together. The frost spring mysterious chi rushed out from his body. The frost rain from all directions gathered and condensed into a sword blade. The sword light flashed, and the sword momentum was like a rainbow. The sharp sword light cut through the rain and sent a head flying. Blood sprinkled down like rain. Killing a king with one sword, killing a barbarian king in such a carefree manner moved everyone. Before anyone could regain their senses, Yang Wu had already taken a step forward and charged into the group of young brute generals at the very front of the brute race and began his massacre. These barbarian generals were quickly attacked by the death consciousness. Their expressions became dull and even distorted. They were terrified. Their souls seemed to have been severely injured. They felt that they were already dead. Yang Wu's realm had improved, and the divine court Tao flower was growing. The death consciousness attached to the petals had also gained new growth. It was no longer comparable to before. Even a king couldn't bear this will, let alone a martial artist in the general realm. Yang Wu still used the Frost Spring mysterious chi to condense the Frost Spring blade and began his merciless slaughter. Use your blood to wash away the pain on my sister's body. Yang Wu seemed to be chanting. Under the ancestral curse, his sword was like a god's scythe. It slashed in front of these young barbarian generals. One by one, heads flew off from their bodies. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 heads had disappeared, causing the kings to be dumbfounded. Huangfu Zhanxiong and the other barbarian kings naturally reacted faster. Among them, Shi Shafeng rushed out and shouted, "Don't you dare kill my Lang!" Shi Shafeng was a high-level king. He was one of the 10 barbarian kings. His combat strength was needless to say. He personally took action to prevent Yang Wu from having another chance to kill. "You're my opponent." Yang Wu didn't even have the time to compete with Shi Shafeng before the Rose of Death rushed out from the Great Xia army and shouted. The Rose of Death had reached the high-level Earth-Sea realm. Her strength was on par with Shi Shafeng. She was not afraid of him at all. Following the start of the battle between the two great kings, how could the others still hold back? Huangfu Zhanxiong decisively ordered, "Fight." As his voice fell, the barbarian army launched an all-out attack. Fun Tianxiong also knew that this battle was unavoidable. Fortunately, they had Yang Wu on their side. Perhaps this was a chance for them to reverse the situation. He waved his hand and shouted, "Fight to the death." As the two commanders gave their orders, the two groups of people cried out in alarm. The momentum of the thousands of soldiers and horses galloping shook the entire battlefield. The people at the front naturally rushed out to kill. They had completely forgotten about life and death. Killing the enemy was the most important thing at the moment. Yang Wu, on the other hand, was not affected by the momentum of the two armies. His eyes were only on Wan Lanxin. His goal was to save her, and the people around her would become dead men. He took a step forward and chopped off many heads. Those barbarian generals were like puppets. They were affected by the will of death and had no power to resist. He really lived up to the saying, killing 1 in 10 steps, leaving no trace for 1,000 miles. Huangfu Luosha saw that Yang Wu was slowly approaching him after killing dozens of people. He panicked and wanted to grab Wan Lanxin without thinking. Only by doing so would he feel safe. Unfortunately, at this moment, there seemed to be an invisible force blocking him from getting close to Wan Lanxin. "Damn it, what is going on?" Huangfu Luosha cursed angrily. He took out his weapon and roared with courage. "I am the #1 warrior. So what if you are a king? I will kill you all the same." Yang Wu looked at him coldly from afar. It made him feel like he was in a cold cellar. There was a sense of suffocation that made him unable to raise any thoughts of resistance. Yang Wu looked at Wan Lanxin, who was looking at him, and said with endless tenderness, "Sister, I am here." Chapter 229. When Yang Wu first met Wan Lanxin when he was very young, she protected him and his younger brother like a big sister. The other children who wanted to bully the two of them were all subdued by her. At that time, he worshipped her very much. When he slowly grew up and started to understand things, he felt that how could a man always be protected by a girl? It should be a boy protecting a girl. This was a matter of course. Therefore, he started to cultivate seriously, hoping that one day he could stand in front of this girl and shelter her from the wind and rain. At that time, it was a very pure sibling relationship without too many distracting thoughts. Even when they met again in the mountain prison, she was still standing in front of him, still receiving her protection and care, which made him feel ashamed. Now, he had become stronger and surpassed her. It was also time for him to shelter her from the wind and rain, and not let her suffer the slightest bit of harm. He walked over step by step, and anyone who came close to him was inexplicably swept away by the will of death. There was no way for them to attack him at all, and they were easily slashed by the condensed frost spring sword. Before the two armies clashed, he had already killed over 100 people. Anyone who came close to him died. Many of the barbarian soldiers who were chasing after him chose to attack from a distance. Arrows shot towards Yang Wu like rainbows. These arrows contained enough tyrannical power, but when they came close to Yang Wu, they were crushed by his kingly aura and fell to the ground. Not a single arrow could get close to him. Yang Wu did not delay any longer. He dispersed the frost spring sword, and his palms blasted out with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Wave-splitting palm. In the weather of the frost spring, this palm technique was displayed to the greatest extent. The perfect stage of the palm technique contained a thick spiral force. It blasted out crazily, causing the power of the blasts, as well as the arrows, to be reversed, injuring the charging barbarian soldiers. Suddenly, Yang Wu sped up. He shuttled through the crowd like a ghost, and no one could stop him. He quickly approached Wan Lanxin. Wan Lanxin looked at Yang Wu, who was charging over like a god of war. His face once again overlapped with his childhood appearance. She couldn't help but whisper, "I thought I would never see you again." Wan Lanxin knew Yang Wu very well. If he wanted to do something, he would be extremely persistent. If he wanted to save her, she had reason to believe that he could do it. At this moment, she felt that even if she died, she wouldn't have any regrets. What could be more touching and blissful than having the person she liked risk her life for her? Huangfu Zhanxiong had been paying attention to Yang Wu's movements. He had also ordered his men to secretly observe the surroundings. However, he did not discover any traces of a heaven demon. For his daughter's sake, he decided to go all out. He ordered the two kings on his left and right to kill Yang Wu. Since he's already an enemy, let's just get rid of him, Huangfu Zhanxiong said fiercely with killing intent. At the same time, he personally soared into the sky, spread out a pair of golden wings, and held a golden sword. He shouted, "Barbarians, follow me to kill the enemy." Huangfu Zhanxiong was a top king. With the triple awakening stage brute force, he had incomparably powerful combat strength. He personally led the battle, which naturally aroused the passion of all the barbarians. At this time, Yang Wu was already close to Wan Lanxin. Wherever he went, he killed many people. It could be said that the ground was littered with corpses. No one could stop him, and no one could hurt him. Huangfu Luosha was frightened by Yang Wu's slaughter. He had never expected that a boy 10 years younger than him would have such abnormal combat strength. He must be from the transcendent world. Huangfu Luosha concluded in his heart. Just as Yang Wu was about to approach Huangfu Luosha felt the influence of the death consciousness. His divine court was completely invaded, and he felt like he was about to die. Just as Yang Wu's attack was about to hit him, a barbarian king appeared, grabbed Huangfu Luosha, and retreated. The path of death. The barbarian king cried out. This barbarian king's eyes were bright, and his body was rough. He wore a yellow and orange battle armor that was incomparably thick and sturdy. He wore a lion head belt around his waist, which made him look incomparably noble. He held a long scythe in his hand, and the sharp aura was quite oppressive. His body was surrounded by an earth chi armor, and his battle chi was very strong. He had reached the advanced barbarian king realm. Vajra Lion Barbarian King Shi Kailei was one of the top 10 barbarian kings. He was not inferior to Shi Shafeng. He personally dealt with Yang Wu, which was the greatest affirmation to Yang Wu, and also proved that Yang Wu was too big of a threat. Shi Kailei had fought with the Death War King before. When he came into contact with Yang Wu's aura, he felt Yang Wu's pure death consciousness. He immediately knew why Yang Wu could kill one person in 10 steps. Their soldiers were affected by this death consciousness. Yes, it is the path of death. Can you block it? Yang Wu looked at Shi Kailei and responded faintly. The Tao flower in the divine court swayed, and all the death consciousness enveloped Shi Kailei. He had to destroy his opponent's soul and spirit with all his strength. A shadow of a dragon turtle appeared on his body. No, it looked like a dragon turtle. It was still some distance away from the dragon turtle. The majestic frost spring Xian Qi condensed into ice-cold waves and attacked Shi Kailei with all his strength. Dragon Turtle Sea Turning Technique. Yang Wu could feel that Shi Kailei's realm was higher than his, but he was still fearless. He just wanted to kill to his heart's content and make the barbarians pay a sufficient price. When Yang Wu released his power, the people around him were so scared that they fled frantically. They didn't dare to stay by his side at all. Some of them couldn't escape in time and were sent flying while vomiting blood. This terrifying frost spring Xianqi was not only domineering, but also made their bodies cold and uncomfortable. They couldn't bear it at all. The barbarian soldiers continued to let out blood-curdling screams. A large number of men, horses, and mounts were rolling on the ground, creating chaos. Shirkaile was one of the top 10 kings of the barbarian race. Naturally, he wouldn't be scared by Yongwu. After he knew about Yongwu's death consciousness, he had a defense. He condensed a death consciousness on his body, and a Vajra lion appeared behind him. He opened his mouth and roared. Roar! Vajra lion roar! This terrible sound wave condensed into a golden lion shadow and fiercely rushed towards Yongwu's flood dragon turtle attack. The lion and the flood dragon turtle collided fiercely, wreaking havoc in the surroundings. Many people were affected and died on the spot. These people were all barbarians, and the people of Great Xia didn't come close. By the time the two forces disappeared, Shirkaile had already thrown Huangfu Luosha back to the back of the soldiers to protect him. As for Yongwu, he didn't suffer any serious injuries. He faced the attack of a high-level barbarian king head-on and didn't feel much pressure at all. This was the abnormal effect of absorbing the frost spring Xianqi. Not only did it help his realm to reach a higher level, but it also made his Xianqi unique. It could be said that the combination of the frost spring Xianqi and the ancestor Xianqi formed a new kind of Xianqi. Its attacking power was not comparable to ordinary Xianqi. Yongwu didn't want to let Wan Lanxin suffer too much. He didn't take the opportunity to chase after Shirkaile. Instead, he approached Wan Lanxin. There were no barbarians around her. Those barbarians wanted to kill Wan Lanxin, but they couldn't do it. They felt that it was quite strange, so they didn't dare to touch her again. Now that Yongwu was coming at them, they would die if they didn't escape. "Sister, I'm here." Yongwu looked at Wan Lanxin, who was close at hand, and said with incomparable tenderness. He looked at Wan Lanxin's beautiful face, which was actually full of scars. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. His heart was dripping blood, and the anger in his heart continued to soar. He gently stroked her face with his trembling hand and asked, "Damn barbarian dogs, they actually treated you like this. I'll make them pay the price." "Wu, be careful behind you." Wan Lanxin saw a powerful attack coming at Yongwu from behind. She didn't have time to talk to Yongwu and screamed to remind him. Yongwu had already noticed Shirkailei's attack. He grabbed Wan Lanxin, and a pair of wings quickly grew out of his kidneys. He carried Wan Lanxin and soared into the sky. Boom! At his location, a powerful force immediately exploded, turning the place into a deep crater. If Yongwu had been a little slower, the two of them would have been in trouble. In the air, Yongwu removed all the restraints on Wan Lanxin's body, allowing her to regain her freedom. He then said, "Sister, hug me. I'll take you to take revenge." Wan Lanxin's already damaged face smiled and said, "Okay." Her face was bleeding from smiling, but her heart was filled with sweetness and happiness. She buried her face in his back, and her hands tightly hugged his broad shoulders. Even if she was facing any danger, she wouldn't be afraid. Even if he wanted her to die on the spot, she wouldn't have the slightest bit of complaint, because in this life, she had the experience of him risking everything to save her. She would die without regrets. Shirkaile unfolded a pair of yellow, profound wings and soared into the sky. Before he arrived, his attack had already arrived. Fearless Lion Fist. Several mighty lions appeared and crazily bit at Yongwu. "I don't believe that this king can't kill you." Shirkaile was determined to fight with Yongwu. He must kill Yongwu. Yongwu faced these powerful attacks and took out the double-blade triple dragon spear. The ice blade wings continuously flickered, and after dodging these attacks, he pointed at Shirkaile and said domineeringly, "Use your barbarian king's head to heal my sister's wounds." At this moment, he finally used his full strength. Chapter 230. On the battlefield. The barbarian army and the barbarian army were engaged in an all-out war. Which side was stronger would be revealed very soon. Previously, both sides had victories and losses, but the barbarian army's momentum was stronger. They took the initiative to invade, intending to take down the barbarian army in one fell swoop and enter the Grand Xia dynasty. Who would have thought that Yang Wu's sudden return would change the entire situation, causing the war to break out in advance? High up in the sky, the kings were fighting fiercely. Their victory or defeat would largely determine the final outcome of this war. Yang Wu looked at the injuries on Wan Lanxin's body, and his heart was already filled with a raging fury. He needed to vent his anger, and Shi Kailai had become his first sacrifice. Yang Wu held the double-blade, three-dragon spear and used all his strength to launch the 7 folds of wild waves. The waves began to rise. Yang Wu's meridians and acupoints were operating at an extremely fast speed. Endless amounts of frost spring mysterious energy erupted from the 1,000 holes of the peach core. When this spear shot out, it was as if it had been accumulating strength for a long time, blasting towards Shi Kailai, who was rushing over. Shi Kailai used his battle weapon. He waved his long scythe, outlining a long golden crack. The strength of a high-level barbarian king was unquestionable. A low-level king could blast out at least 200 ding of strength, and its destructive power could not be described by ding. A mid-level king's strength would continue to double, reaching 400 ding of strength. A high-level king's strength would at least reach 600 ding of strength, and a top-level king's strength could reach 1,000 ding of strength. Shi Kailai was one of the top 10 barbarian kings, and also had the strength of 3 layers of brute force. He could completely erupt with 1,000 ding of strength comparable to a top-level king. In other words, to the king of the Grand Xia dynasty, he could surpass levels to fight. Shi Kailai was determined to get rid of Yang Wu. He wanted to kill Yang Wu with his scythe. When the two forces collided, there were immediately bursts of fierce sparks in the air, causing the sky to tremble. Yang Wu's power had been broken through. Shi Kailai was overjoyed as he said, "Even if we're at the same level of king tier, how could the people of Great Xia be a match for us? Moreover, you're just a brat who has just stepped into the king tier realm." Just as he finished speaking, Yang Wu, carrying Wan Lanxin on his back, had already appeared on his other side. His 2 blades and 3 dragon spears were already thrusting towards him. Waves splashed everywhere. This wave of attack was mixed with frost spring mysterious essence, mercilessly stabbing at Shi Kailai's defensive power. Shi Kailai's reaction speed was outstanding, but his weakness was his speed. There was no way he could compare with Yang Wu, even if he was a high-grade king. Yang Wu's ice blade wings were his innate potential, and after being nourished by the frost spring mysterious energy, they had become extremely powerful. Shi Kailai didn't need to fear the attack of a top-notch king with his defensive strength. After all, the barbarian race's defense wasn't something that anyone could compare with. The layers of golden walls were at least comparable to the armor of a top-notch king. Even a high-grade king weapon couldn't break through them easily. However, Yang Wu's attack wasn't ordinary. Before the spear light arrived, a chill penetrated Shi Kailai's defense and froze him. At the same time, the will of death continued to strengthen him. It was as if he had fallen into a world of ice, and there was no way for him to resist. Boom! While Shi Kailai's power was weakening, Yang Wu's power had already exploded fiercely on his body. Shi Kailai was severely injured. If it weren't for the king-grade armor on his body, he would have been a corpse at this moment. How does this kid have such a terrifying attack power? Shi Kailai's expression changed slightly as he thought to himself. Yang Wu continued to chase after Shi Kailai. Wave after wave of attacks mercilessly collided, not giving Shi Kailai the slightest chance to breathe. He wanted to kill Shi Kailai in the shortest time possible. Shi Kailai was infuriated. He roared in shock, "Kid, you forced me to use the 3rd level of brute force. You can die without regrets." In an instant, Shi Kailai's figure became majestic. His bulging muscles were filled with terrifying explosive power. Shi Kailai's defense was strengthened. Gold profound chi also surged. He was like an awakened lion, dominating the forest. He roared and attacked with lion's roar. At the same time, he waved his scythe and attacked Yang Wu in succession. Diamond Lion's roar. Life reaping. Yang Wu only felt pain in his ears. His blood and chi were uncomfortable. He had to protect Wan Lanxin. This made him feel the terror of a high-level barbarian king. Powerful indeed. However, all of this is just a flash in the pan. Yang Wu circulated all of his meridians once, and after suppressing all the discomfort, the ice-bladed wings suddenly separated from his body and was replaced by another pair of blue profound wings. This kind of astonishing change was really too shocking. How could a king have two different pairs of profound wings? Was this a mutation? Yang Wu made his move again. The condensed waves roared and surged like an upside-down waterfall. Frost spring profound chi filled the air, approaching the terrifying strength of 1,000 cauldrons. This was definitely not a power that a primary king could possess. Torrential waves. This was Yang Wu's third move, 7-layered wild waves. Its power was even greater than the previous two moves. It was like waves after waves of wild waves, wanting to destroy everything. Nothing could stop it. Rumble, rumble. The two forces kept colliding. The destructive power shocked the surrounding kings. They couldn't help but look over. They all wanted to know who was stronger between Yang Wu and Wang Kailei. The Rose of Death thought worriedly, "You shouldn't have exposed your strength so early. In a few years, you can definitely defeat any barbarian king." The Rose of Death sympathized with Wan Lanxin's encounter. However, when she saw Yang Wu standing up for Wan Lanxin, she felt somewhat upset. Right now, she only hoped that Yang Wu would be safe and sound. She didn't want to see him die. The other generals of Great Xia all had their own thoughts. They saw Yang Wu's powerful rise and felt very unbalanced. However, before the battle between the two countries, they hoped that Yang Wu could win. However, could Yang Wu really do it? Too impulsive. They all sighed in their hearts. In fact, they didn't think highly of Yang Wu. Even if Yang Wu displayed extraordinary potential, it was still not enough. As for the barbarian race, all the barbarian kings naturally hoped that Yang Wu would die. Otherwise, they would have endless troubles in the future. When the power of these two moves collided and dispersed, Sure Kailei's power was even stronger. It shook Yang Wu until he was sent flying. The defensive frost spring armor on his body started to crack. There was even a cut on his chest, causing blood to seep out. Yang Wu, the Rose of Death, cried out involuntarily. She wanted to rush over to help Yang Wu. However, Sure Shafeng wouldn't give her the chance. He blocked her path and attacked crazily. "You dare to be distracted while fighting me. You don't even know how to spell the word death," Sure Shafeng said coldly. "Haha, you don't have a right to fight to the death with me." After Sure Kailei severely injured Yang Wu, he finally revealed an incomparably happy expression. Just as he was about to chase after Yang Wu, a bad premonition rose from the back of his head. Before he could react, two ice blade-like wings flashed past like a meteor. His defense was like paper and couldn't block it at all. His head was cut in half, and his body was also cut in half. His body was instantly split into 3 parts, and a lot of blood fell like rain. When the king saw this scene, their eyelids twitched wildly. A chill surged from the soles of their feet to their heads. What kind of attack was this? That pair of ice blade-like wings quickly returned to Yang Wu's body. Not only did Yang Wu have a pair of blue profound wings, he also had a pair of real wings. 4 wings flashed, causing the kings to be completely dumbfounded. How can he have 2 pairs of wings? Moreover, they are of different colors, but they also look like real wings. My eyes aren't playing tricks on me, right? His talent is extraordinary. There is absolutely no mistake. This brat was born to be a warrior. We can't fight him head-on. Diamond Lion King was killed by him. We must avenge him. That brat is so powerful. It will be difficult to deal with him unless the Patriarch and the others take action. He is already injured. Now is the best time to kill him. Everyone attacked together. After the kings of the barbarian race panicked, 2 kings rushed towards Yang Wu at the same time. The strength of these two kings had not reached the advanced king realm. One of them was a middle barbarian king, and the other was a primary barbarian king. They were not afraid of death, and they were both Wang Kailiai's blood relatives. They couldn't watch their relatives die in front of them without doing anything. Those who kill my big brother will die. The middle barbarian king raised his halberd and stimulated the two types of barbarian force in his body. He transformed into a barbarian elephant and ruthlessly rushed towards Yang Wu. The other primary barbarian king didn't say anything. A big net appeared in his hand, and he threw it towards Yang Wu's back. He wanted to trap Yang Wu within it and capture him. This big net was woven from the silk exhaled by the golden silkworm king. It was incomparably tough. Even if a top king was trapped in it, he wouldn't be able to break free. The two barbarian kings cooperated perfectly. In order to avoid the attack of the middle barbarian king, Yang Wu fell into the golden silkworm net. Wan Lanxin, who was behind Yang Wu, softly shouted, "Wu, be careful. Don't worry, it's just a small trick." Yang Wu smiled faintly. He once again waved his pair of ice blade wings. They were like two peerless sharp blades as they cut towards the shrinking golden silkworm net. Zzz, zzz. The incomparably tough golden silkworm net was easily cut apart by this pair of peerless sharp blades. Yang Wu and Wan Lanxin easily escaped. The primary barbarian king was instantly dumbfounded. Yang Wu had appeared behind him at an unknown time, and the two blades and three dragons' spear mercilessly pierced through his body. "I said that I will make all of you barbarian race stay here. I won't go back on my words," Yang Wu said coldly. Chapter 2:31. In the sky where the two armies were fighting, everyone's attention was focused on Yang Wu alone. Even the battle between Huangfu Zhanxiong and Fun Tianxiong was not as eye-catching as Yang Wu. Yang Wu was only a primary level king. This could be seen from the armor he released and the profound wings he condensed. Even if his aura far surpassed that of a primary level king, these characteristics could still be seen. Not only did he kill Shi Kailai, one of the top 10 kings of the barbarian race, but he also killed a barbarian king in the blink of an eye. Who among the younger generation could compare to him with such powerful methods? This child has already become a force to be reckoned with. No one could suppress him anymore. Chao Jianda, who was not far away, thought to himself. Southern Qi Qin stroked his beard and said, "This kid is completely qualified to be my son-in-law." The other kings' thoughts became active. If they won this battle, Yang Wu would definitely be someone worth currying favor with. His future was limitless. Yang Wu did not want to show off. He only wanted to seek justice for Wan Lanxin. After Yang Wu easily killed the primary barbarian king, the intermediate barbarian king, who was still filled with murderous intent, immediately turned pale. He no longer dared to attack Yang Wu. Instead, he quickly retreated. At the same time, he cried out in alarm, "You are definitely not a king of the mortal world. Who are you? Do you know that transcendent kings are not allowed to get involved in the war of the mortal world?" Yang Wu said in high spirits, "I am the cavalry captain of the Barbarian Suppression Army, the vice commander of the Death Legion, Yang Wu." After he finished speaking, he carried Wan Lanxin and charged towards the intermediate level barbarian king, wanting to take his head. The intermediate level barbarian king cried out in fear, "Flute King, save me!" Woo-woo. The sound of a flute quietly rang out. This flute sound contained a certain rhythm and was filled with a demonic power, causing people to be vigilant. The Rose of Death could not help but remind him, "Yang Wu, be careful. It's the Demon Tamer Flute King. He can control the Demon Kings to surround and kill you." Sure enough, as soon as she finished speaking, 8 demon kings quietly soared into the sky and sealed off Yang Wu. Among the 8 demon kings, there was a person sitting on the back of a black and white condor king. That person was playing a flute. He was the demon tamer of the Meng tribe, Meng Di, known as the Flute King. Meng Di did not have a tall and boorish figure like the barbarians. Instead, he looked as delicate and pretty as the people of Great Xia. He looked like he was in his early 30s and was upright and young. He had an evil smile on his face, as if everything was under his control. Meng-Di was only an intermediate-level king, but he was even more terrifying than a high-level king. This was because he was born as a demon tamer. He grew up drinking the milk of spirit demons and was incomparably close to them. He learned the Meng tribe's demon-urging technique and could make thousands of demons listen to his commands. The 8 demon kings were incomparably powerful. Among them, the black and white condor king he was riding was a top-level demon king. Its speed was the most terrifying, and no one dared to casually face it. There were also 2 high-level demon kings. One was a green-scaled elephant king, and the other was a white-horned rhinoceros king. They were both extremely powerful demon kings. There were also 5 different demon kings whose realms were between the intermediate and beginner level. When they worked together, even a top-level king would have to flee at the mere sight of them. This was the powerful reliance of the barbarians, and also where the barbarians' confidence lay. The Meng Beast Tide 3 days ago was caused by Meng-Di. I really didn't expect that there would be such an outstanding young man like you in Great Xia. How good would it be if you belonged to my barbarian race? Meng-Di put the flute beside him, looked at Yang Wu, and said faintly. Then he added, "Why don't you join our barbarian race? We can give you more preferential treatment. In the future, we can recommend you to join the Sacred Flame sect and become a member of the Transcendent World. What do you think?" Shameless. Yang Wu, you can't agree with him. I'll give you a hand. Zhou Yidao forced his opponent to retreat and shouted angrily. General Zhou, there's no need. You just have to take care of yourself. Yang Wu responded without turning his head. Then he looked at the 8 demon kings surrounding him and said with a smile, "Do you really think that they could defeat me? Yes, they are enough. If you insist on being stubborn, then we can only send you on your way." Meng-Di said very confidently. "Okay, then let them try." Yang Wu's blood boiled, and a high-spirited fighting spirit soared to the extreme. The consciousness of death continued to spread, and he entered his strongest combat state. Then there's nothing to say. Kill him. Meng-Di ordered the 7 demon kings. Roar! Roar! The 7 demon kings roared at the same time, releasing a majestic demonic aura. Many attacks were madly bombarded towards Yang Wu. They were all intelligent and knew that Yang Wu's consciousness of death was terrifying. They did not get close to Yang Wu, but formed a demonic formation to launch a long-range attack on Yang Wu. Barbaric Elephant Heavenly Hook, Rhinoceros Horn Earth Prying, Earth Dragon Flip. These 7 demon kings had different offensive talents, but they were all incomparably powerful. When they combined their attacks together, the destructive power they created was terrifying. The spirit demons and wild beasts in the mountain range were scared out of their wits. Then let's kill, Yang Wu said as he tightened his grip on the double blade and 3-dragon spear. The profound wings on his body retracted and strengthened his defense. The injuries on his body had already recovered. The meridians and acupoints in his body were all brimming with energy. The energy in his peach core dantian was inexhaustible. Moreover, he had another terrifying trump card that he had yet to use. Now was the time to use it. Suddenly, a shout rang out. "You bastards dare to touch my young master? Have you asked Grandpa Turtle?" It was Shanshan's silver-patterned turtle. It had been chasing after Yang Wu's scent and had finally caught up with Yang Wu, only to find that Yang Wu was facing such a dangerous battle. Without hesitation, it rushed into the battlefield to block the attacks for Yang Wu. Turtle Shell Heaven and Earth. The silver patterns on the silver-patterned turtle's back flickered, forming the strongest defense. The power of the silver patterns intertwined to form an extremely thick turtle shell, enveloping Yang Wu and Wan Lanxin, strongly blocking the attacks of the 7 demon kings. Rumble, rumble. The power of the 7 demon kings was no joke. Even though the Turtle Clan was known for their defense, it was almost impossible for them to take on the attacks of the 7 demon kings by themselves. After the turtle shell lasted for a while, it finally shattered completely. The silver-patterned turtle immediately suffered a powerful impact, causing blood to seep out of its mouth. Just as the power was about to fall, Yang Wu appeared on the turtle's back and spun the double blade and 3-dragon spear. The powerful impact of the river waves blew away all the power. Do you want to die? Yang Wu asked the silver-patterned turtle. It is little turtle's honor to be able to share the young master's firepower. The silver-patterned turtle said flatteringly. The silver-patterned turtle was working so hard for the ice dragon's essence blood. It needed to gain Yang Wu's trust. Okay, take my sister and back away. Don't be a busybody. Yang Wu placed Wan Lanxin on the silver-patterned turtle's back and said. At this time, a beginner condor king swept over and pecked at Yang Wu with its sharp beak. Who knew that Yang Wu did not even look at it? He casually raised a finger and shot it at the beginner condor king. Volcanic finger. Bang! The power of the volcanic finger was terrifying. Moreover, it had reached the perfect stage of the volcanic finger. It was like a destructive force of a natural disaster. With one finger, the beginner condor king was blasted into a ball of fire. Go, no one can hurt you. Yang Wu stepped on the turtle's back and shouted. With Meng Bingxue secretly protecting Wan Lanxin, Yang Wu could fight without holding back. Wu Xiaoxin, don't force yourself. Wan Lanxin shouted. Don't worry, they're just chickens and pottery dogs. Yang Wu raised the double-blade three-dragon spear and shouted. At the same time, he released all the power in his dantian, completely ignoring the attacks of the remaining 6 monster kings. This move made Mengdi's eyelids twitch wildly. We can't delay any longer. We must kill him. Mengdi put the flute to his mouth again and blew it. Woo-woo. After the sound of his flute rang out, he flew away from the black and white condor king. The black and white condor king's eyes flashed and its wings flapped. It turned into a black and white line and cut towards Yang Wu's direction. This time, it was the 7 monster kings besieging him. After they heard the sound of the flute, they used their most powerful attacks and did not hold back. They were not afraid of death and crashed into Yang Wu. Terrifying monster chi overflowed and bombarded Yang Wu again and again. They wanted to blast him into ashes. Just as these terrible attacks were about to land on Yang Wu's body, an extremely cold ice chi was quietly released. The continuous frost rain stopped dripping and turned into ice crystals, forming layers of extremely thick ice. Not only did it block Yang Wu's path, but it also froze those attacks. Frost Spring freezing heaven and earth. The Frost Spring mystic essence chi was condensed from extreme cold. Even a heavenly demon would not be able to withstand it. It also had a unique power, which was that it could create a frozen world. Yang Wu did not need to use any powerful attacks. He only needed to completely release the Frost Spring mysterious chi. He was the master of this frozen world. Everything near him would be frozen. Even the monster kings were no exception. This extremely cold ice chi was too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, the attacks of the monster kings and the monster kings nearby were all frozen into statues. Only the Condor King, who was the fastest, could escape at the fastest speed when the extremely cold ice chi was about to freeze it. Otherwise, it would have been frozen alive. Mengdi's flute stopped. He widened his eyes and exclaimed in panic, "What kind of monster is he?" Chapter 232. Frost Spring freezes heaven and earth. Yang Wu's move even affected Huangfu Zhanxiong and Fun Tianxiong. The entire world seemed to have been completely frozen by Yang Wu, and the temperature plummeted. All the kings present felt a thick chill, and their energy circulation became unsmooth. This was not the power of heaven and earth, but it was even stronger than the power of heaven and earth that caused them to become like this. How did Yang Wu do it? Mengdi's what kind of monster is he? All the kings wanted to know the answer. 1 demon king was killed by a finger, and 6 demon kings were frozen. This kid is too terrifying. There is no way to fight against him. Is he the son of ice? Those frost springs have turned into ice. How can we break it? If we can't kill him, we can't continue this battle. This cold energy is incomparably powerful. It should belong to some kind of special cold energy. We can't touch it, or we will be frozen. Is he really just a human king? I feel that this kid is more like a heaven realm expert. The barbarian kings gathered together and discussed with ugly expressions on their faces. It was not that they didn't want to attack Yang Wu, but the generals of the barbarian army would never turn a blind eye to it. Moreover, Yang Wu's power was too strange. They didn't dare to approach him rashly for fear that they would follow the same fate as the 6 demon kings. On the other hand, the Grand Xia side began to see the dawn. Their faces were filled with excitement. Flute King's Demon King is useless. We finally have the upper hand in this battle. Yang Wu is really too powerful. No wonder he is the successor chosen by a super expert. Kill all these barbarian kings. Then we can rush into their territory and make them all slaves of our Grand Xia. How can it be so simple? This should be Yang Wu's ultimate move. After this move, he might fall into a weakened state. We have to be prepared to rescue him. We can't let him fall. Don't worry about it. How can Yang Wu be so simple? Didn't you see that he let the demon turtle take the girl away? He clearly has enough confidence to deal with it. The generals of the Grand Xia side looked at Yang Wu excitedly. They didn't expect Yang Wu to rise so quickly. In the future, they had to change their attitude towards Yang Wu. Once the news reached the imperial court, it was inevitable that Yang Wu would be conferred the title of general. There might even be forces from the transcendent world coming to take him away. This kid really can't be understood with common sense. The battle between Huangfu Zhanxiong and Fen Tianxiong had not ended yet. They had no choice but to end it early and think of a way to exhaust Yang Wu's arrogance. Fen Tianxiong dragged his injured body back to the king's side and said with emotion, "Regardless of the outcome of this battle, Yang Wu deserves the greatest merit." As the commander of the army, Fen Tianxiong had to be fair in his rewards and punishments. Regardless of whether he liked Yang Wu or not, he had no choice but to declare his position and record Yang Wu's merit. Originally, in this great battle, he wanted his son to perform a bit more amazingly. Unfortunately, everything was overshadowed by Yang Wu. Everything within 300 meters of Yang Wu had been frozen into a land of ice crystals. The 6 demon kings were completely sealed in ice. Their bloodlines and powers were unable to move at all. Extreme cold invaded every corner of their bodies, freezing them to death just like that. Yang Wu, on the other hand, stood on the ice like the Prince of Ice. He looked at Meng Di and said faintly, "Continue playing your flute. Although it's not nice to hear, it's still difficult. You're the one playing the flute. Your whole family is playing the flute." Meng Di cursed in his heart. He was playing the flute, but many people couldn't tell the difference between a flute and a flute. Horizontal flute, vertical flute. Do you really think you're invincible? Condor King, come back. After Meng Di was provoked by Yang Wu, he called back the top-notch Condor King. Then he stood on the Condor King's back and took out a big bow. He gathered all his power on the bow and shot at Yang Wu. Meng Di's arrow was not simple. He and the Condor King became one and directly transferred the Condor King's power to him. The arrow shot by the combination of the two powers was powerful. Meng Di cultivated the human-beast fusion technique. It was a must-learn technique for beast tamers. It was also their most powerful trump card. The arrow shot out like a black meteorite. It flew towards Yang Wu with extreme speed. It was so fast that ordinary top-notch kings couldn't catch its trajectory. It was a combination of speed and power. Unfortunately, his opponent was Yang Wu, who could not be judged by common sense. Yang Wu's eyes glowed with a sharp light as he saw the arrow clearly. The moment it arrived, he moved to the side and dodged the arrow. Meng Di's arrow missed, but he wasn't depressed. He urged the Condor King to run quickly and change direction. He continuously drew his bow and shot 3 arrows. Each arrow was shot in a different direction. It was as if 3 archers were shooting at the same time, blocking Yang Wu's escape route. Yang Wu couldn't dodge, and he didn't plan to dodge anymore. The ice blade wings were like his peerless dual blades. He waved them left and right, directly cutting down the 3 arrows. The power of these 3 arrows was too domineering. After Yang Wu blocked them, the ice blade wings didn't suffer any damage. However, there was a force that shook his meridians and wanted to break into his body and wreak havoc on his internal organs. This was a brute force. As for Meng Di, he was even more depressed. He had used his ultimate skill, but the other party could still easily block it. How could he fight with the other party? It's my turn to fight back. Yang Wu flashed his ice blade wings and chased after Meng Di at full speed. The top-notch Condor King was known for his speed. Of course, he wouldn't let Yang Wu catch up with him easily. After all, Yang Wu's realm was limited, and he consumed a lot of energy. It was still difficult for him to take down Meng Di and the top-notch Condor King. I can't kill you, but can I kill the other barbarian kings? Yang Wu decisively gave up his pursuit of Meng Di, and instead rushed towards the dozens of barbarian kings who had gathered together. Son-in-law Yang Wu, don't be impulsive. Nan Chi-Chin couldn't help but exclaim. As soon as he said this, many generals showed contempt and cursed in their hearts. Shameless. Yang Wu had publicly expressed that he didn't like Nan Runin. Nan Chi-Chin's words were indeed too shameless. What are you waiting for? Yang Wu didn't listen to his advice and shouted at the generals of Great Xia. The kings of Great Xia seemed to have woken up from a dream. The first to react was the Rose of Death. She held her rose sword and shouted, "Kill!" Fun Tianxiong also ordered, "Fight to the death." The first drum of energy, the second was weak, and the third was exhausted. They had to take advantage of the momentum created by Yang Wu to attack the barbarian race's arrogance and obtain victory in this battle. Huangfu Zhanxiong knew that the situation was hopeless. Moreover, the Elder in the Dark transmitted a message to him. The other party has the protection of a Heaven Realm expert. I can't find her. We must retreat from this battle. Beat the gongs and retreat. Huangfu Zhanxiong had no choice but to order a retreat. Even the Elder he brought with him couldn't deal with the expert on the other side. One could imagine how powerful the other party was. He had already achieved the result he wanted for this battle. He sighed in his heart. I hope Eighth Uncle's side goes smoothly. Woo-woo. The barbarian race blew the horn to retreat, while the Great Xia blew the horn to counterattack. The two different sounds resounded in the wilderness. Yang Wu quickly chased after them. The extremely cold ice chi on his body was still as terrifying as before, and the will of death was even more untouchable. He repeatedly brandished his double-blade, three-dragon spear, and the three wild waves' seven-layered king skill poured down in torrents. Those barbarian kings simply had no way to resist. Meng Di didn't want Yang Wu to kill more people. He shot out arrows from time to time. He didn't want to kill Yang Wu, but he wanted to stop Yang Wu from attacking. Do you really think I can't kill you? Yang Wu was blocked again and again. He glared at Meng Di and shouted, Our army has already retreated. Why are you still bothering us? Meng Di replied, You're better at talking than singing. Yang Wu replied disdainfully. The ice blade wings left his body and charged towards Meng Di and the top-grade Condor King. After the ice blade wings entered his body, its speed became even faster. It could also change direction at will. No matter where Meng Di and the top-grade Condor King fled, they couldn't escape from its pursuit. Moreover, it was an illusory power which was completely different from its physical form. In the blink of an eye, it had already cut in front of Meng Di. He was so scared that he hurriedly lay down. A strand of his hair was cut off on the spot. However, the ultimate target of the ice blade wings was not Meng Di, but the top-grade Condor King he was riding. The ice blade wings had cut the wings of the top-grade Condor King. Moreover, the extremely cold ice energy contained in the ice blade wings had frozen its body, causing its flying speed to drop rapidly. There was no way for it to continue to merge with Meng Di's power. Screech! The top-grade Condor King let out a series of screeches. Meng Di immediately realized that something was wrong. At the same time, Yang Wu rushed towards him at full speed. Oh no! Meng Di exclaimed. He wanted to continue to connect with the top-grade Condor King, but unfortunately, he couldn't do it. It's time for you to die. Yang Wu held the double-edged triple dragon spear with both hands and smashed it down again. A terrifying spear shadow was mixed with the frost spring mysterious essence and the terrifying will of death. It didn't give Meng Di any chance to survive. Meng Di and the top-grade Condor King were both threatened. The extremely cold ice energy and the will of death made it impossible for them to escape. They could only stare blankly at the domineering spear shadow. At the critical moment, a force suddenly appeared and bound Meng Di to quickly dodge Yang Wu's attack. Yang Wu's spear fiercely smashed the body of the top-grade Condor King that couldn't dodge in time. Bang! The body of the top-grade Condor King was torn apart by Yang Wu. The condor's blood splattered everywhere. The condor's body fell rapidly. Before its body landed on the ground, a cold air swept over its body and froze it. Finally, it hit the ground and created a deep pit. If the force that saved Meng Di had reacted a little later, Meng Di would have ended up like the top-grade Condor King. Yang Wu had used all his strength in this attack. His strength finally showed signs of exhaustion. He looked in the direction of Meng Di and sighed. What a pity. If Bing Shui was a little more clear-headed, no one would be able to save him. Chapter 233. Meng Bingshui had always been there. It was just that her cultivation level was too high to be discovered. The reason why Yang Wu had the confidence to challenge so many barbarian kings was not because he was strong enough, but because of Meng Bingshui. His soul was almost connected to hers. If he was in danger, she would definitely help him. He asked her to protect Wan Lanxin. The top Condor King was killed, and Meng Di was rescued. Huang Fujianxiong was not in the mood to fight anymore. The barbarian kings were protecting him, and the army was retreating like crazy. Yang Wu did not want to kill all the barbarian kings. Besides, he did not have enough strength to do so. He also did not want Meng Bingshui to be exposed. He could vaguely feel that there were some super strong warriors hiding among the barbarian race. He had not completely lost his mind. However, there was one person he would definitely not let go of, and that was Huangfu Luosha. Yang Wu did not know what had happened to Wan Lanxin, but he could guess that her injuries must have something to do with Wan Lanxin. Huangfu Luosha had ordered to kill Wan Lanxin. If he did not come in time, Wan Lanxin would have died. Therefore, Huangfu Luosha must die. Huangfu Luosha was the most outstanding young warrior of the barbarian race. He had a good reputation among the barbarian race. This time, he followed the army and showed a very fierce side. He won the support of the younger generation of barbarian race. In the future, he might not be the leader of the barbarian race, but his position in the barbarian race would not be low. Because of Yang Wu's appearance, Huangfu Luosha was full of confidence. He always felt that no matter in the barbarian race or in the Great Xia dynasty, he was definitely one of the best among the young people under the age of 30. Suddenly, a young man who was 10 years younger than him and 10 times stronger than him appeared. It was really hard for him to accept. Because of this, he always thought that Yang Wu belonged to the extraordinary world. He should not belong to the ordinary world. In the process of retreating, Huangfu Luosha felt a chill coming towards him. He felt that something was wrong. He could not help but look back and found Yang Wu's sharp eyes looking at him. That thick and ruthless killing intent made him feel suffocated by death. He could not help but cry out, "Save me!" He had a barbarian king by his side to protect him. The barbarian race would never want such a future barbarian king to die. No one can save you today. Yang Wu poured all his power into the ice blade wings. The wings turned into an illusory power that cut through the layers of obstacles towards Huangfu Luosha. A barbarian king stood in front of Huangfu Luosha and raised his saber to slash at the rapidly approaching ice blade wing. Just as he thought his saber would hit the ice blade wing, the ice blade wing drew a strange arc, bypassing the barbarian king's attack and directly cutting toward Huangfu Luosha, who was covering his head like a rat. Puff! His head was chopped off amidst thousands of soldiers and horses. It was just like the saying, taking the head of a general amidst thousands of soldiers and horses is as easy as taking something out of a bag. Crown Prince. The barbarian king looked back and could not help but cry out in grief. His important task was to escort Huangfu Luosha out of here. But now Huangfu Luosha was killed behind his back. This time he could not escape the responsibility. The fleeing barbarians were frightened and panicked. Many of them fell to the ground on the spot and became the targets of the mounts behind them. Many screams were heard incessantly. "Kill! Don't let any of the barbarian dogs go. The barbarian dogs have invaded our borders." This time we must kill our way to the barbarian race and make them pay the price. This is really satisfying. Barbarian dogs, don't run away. Let's fight for a few hundred more rounds. Deputy Commander Yang Wu is really mighty. He is the god of war of our great Xia army. Without him, we would have been defeated. God of war Yang Wu. God of war Yang Wu. The morale of the barbarian army was greatly boosted. Waves of cheers came one after another. Yang Wu's name spread to every corner. His fame overshadowed Marshal Sun Tianxiong and the Rose of Death. He became the cornerstone of the barbarian army. No matter if it was a veteran or a new soldier, they all revered martial power. The strongest was the king. Yang Wu became a peerless king at such a young age. He was the person they worshipped the most. The barbarian army chased after the barbarian army for half a day. The barbarian army was killed to the point that they threw away their armor. The battlefield was dyed with blood and corpses were scattered everywhere. It was a tragic sight. Yang Wu did not make a move. He followed the army and chased after the barbarian army until Sun Tianxiong gave the order to not pursue a cornered enemy. Only then did he stop. In this battle, the barbarian army lost more than 3,000 men and more than 5,000 were injured. As for the barbarian army, they lost more than 20,000 men and more were injured. This did not include the king that was killed by Yang Wu. The barbarian army achieved a complete victory. After this battle, the barbarian army swept away the previous two battles. Their faces were brimming with the joy of victory. The entire army retreated. The barbarian army silently returned to their land. They would not be able to stir up any trouble in a short period of time. The battle had just stopped. Before Yang Wu could return a check on Wan Lanxin's injuries, he was surrounded by Sun Tianxiong, Su Tinghong, and the other generals. Yang Wu had no choice but to salute. Greetings to the marshal and the other generals. No need for formalities. Our great hero. Sun Tianxiong revealed a gratified expression. He originally thought that Yang Wu would be arrogant after reaching this stage. He never thought that Yang Wu would still be so respectful to them. His impression of Yang Wu quickly rose. Chao Jinda impatiently said, Yang Wu is indeed our great hero. Without your arrival, us old fellows would not have been able to stop the barbarian army's invasion. That's right. Son-in-law Yang became a king at such a young age. You have earned our admiration. When you marry my daughter in the future, you cannot bully her. Nan Shi-chin said with a red face. Yang Wu's old face turned red and said, General Nan, please do not say that. Runin and I are only friends. There is no such relationship as you said. Not now, but soon. Nan Shi-chin said with a thick face. Old Nan, it is not a good thing for you to force people like this. I have a niece in my clan who is not ordinary. I think that she is a good match for Yang Wu. I will have someone call her from a clan. I believe that Yang Wu will definitely like her. Su Tinghong, who is always strict, also said with a serious tone. Su Tinghong was famous for being serious. His words made it clear to many generals that Yang Wu's rise was unstoppable. He would become a new noble in the army. The other generals also began to tease Yang Wu. They took this matter to heart. They wanted to take advantage of Yang Wu's youth to pull him into their camp. He would definitely be of great use in the future. Yang Wu was a bit speechless. How could he have the leisure to think about these things? Besides, he also had a slug that he liked, so he naturally could not agree. However, when he thought about how he had to return to the capital to take back what he had lost, he did not dare offend these generals and tactfully delayed this matter. At this time, the Rose of Death barged in and directly grabbed Yang Wu's hand. She said coldly, Yang Wu, come back to the army with me. She did not care whether Yang Wu agreed or not. She pulled Yang Wu away from the crowd. The generals were startled at first, then revealed extremely strange expressions. A sentence floated in their minds. Could it be that the Rose of Death also has feelings for him? Yang Wu was pulled along by the Rose of Death the entire time. The two of them flew together without saying anything. It was a bit awkward. In the end, it was Yang Wu who discovered the Rose of Death's abnormality. He pulled her hand back and made her stop. He then asked, You're injured? At this time, the Rose of Death shook off his hand and said, None of your business. She was like a spoiled little woman, completely different from her cold and emotionless personality. Then I don't care, Yang Wu responded. He was too lazy to pay attention to this woman and directly left. He was still worried about Wan Lanxin's injuries. You dare to leave. The Rose of Death shouted angrily when she saw Yang Wu leave just like that. Yang Wu pretended not to hear and continued flying. You bastard! The Rose of Death angrily cursed and stabbed at Yang Wu with her rose sword. She really didn't show any mercy when she attacked. A black sword rainbow instantly appeared behind Yang Wu. She regretted it the moment she attacked, but it was already too late for her to withdraw her attack. However, her sword did not stab Yang Wu. Yang Wu had already flashed his ice blade wings and dodged. He quickly appeared beside her and hugged her in his arms. He tore off her veil and fiercely kissed her on the mouth. The Rose of Death was stunned. All of this happened too suddenly, and she was not prepared for it. When she reacted, the first thing she did was to fiercely bite Yang Wu. Hiss! Yang Wu pushed her away and scolded, "Crazy woman!" Immediately after, he sped up and left, no longer paying attention to the Rose of Death. The Rose of Death did not attack again and did not chase after him. She only bitterly said in her heart, "Sorry." She did not know when, but her state of mind had already been affected by the person who had left. Perhaps women were born to worship the strong, not to mention such a young and outstanding strong person. If it was any other time, Yang Wu wouldn't mind teasing the Rose of Death. However, Wan Lanxin was seriously injured, and he simply did not have the mind to pay attention to her. When he returned to the territory of the Barbarian Suppression Army, the silver-patterned tortoise was guarding Wan Lanxin. At the same time, it was also guarding the 7 frozen demon kings. Its eyes glowed, and it wanted nothing more than to swallow them all. After the silver-patterned tortoise sensed Yang Wu's return, it immediately revealed an incomparably fawning expression and said, "Welcome back, young master." In the past, it really wasn't convinced of Yang Wu's strength. But now, even if it didn't want to, it couldn't. Yang Wu was too strong. If it followed him, there should be meat to eat, especially the ice flood dragon meat. Yang Wu did not pay attention to it. Instead, he went in front of Wan Lanxin and gently stroked her hair. He said softly, "Sister, I've made you suffer." Wan Lanxin looked at the heroic Yang Wu in front of her. Her injured face could not help but smile. "It's good that you're back." Chapter 234. They were childhood sweethearts and innocent playmates. This was what Yang Wu and Wan Lanxin had experienced when they were young. It was also why outsiders could not understand how deep their feelings were. "Big sis, let me protect you in the future," Yang Wu said very seriously. Looking at Wan Lanxin's face, Yang Wu's heart ached to the extreme. Fortunately, these were all superficial wounds, and there should be a possibility of recovery. Otherwise, he would have to kill his way to the barbarian tribe. Little brother Wu is grown up. Big sis will rely on you in the future." Wan Lanxin leaned her head on Yang Wu's chest and said obediently. After a pause, she said, "My face is ruined. Is it ugly?" Yang Wu gently caressed her face and said, "Don't worry. Big sister will always be the most beautiful. Moreover, don't forget that I'm already an alchemist. I can concoct a recovery liquid for you. You don't have to worry. Then let's go back. I'm so tired. I want to have a good sleep." Wan Lanxin replied in satisfaction. After saying that, she quietly fell asleep. She had experienced too much torture in the past 2 days. Her body and mind were exhausted to the extreme. In front of Yang Wu, she did not need to worry about being hurt and tortured again. Her body and mind were completely relaxed. Yang Wu placed Wan Lanxin on his back again and said to the silver-patterned turtle, "Look after these monster kings. Don't miss a single one. I will come back to collect them. If anyone dares to have any ideas about them, don't be polite. Beat them to death." "Yes, young master," the silver-patterned turtle replied. Just like that, Yang Wu carried Wan Lanxin back to his tent. There was still the array formation that Little Hay had set up for him here. It isolated all interference from the outside world. He could safely concoct the medicine for her. Fortunately, I obtained the top-grade Earth Spirit Spring from the Ice Wolf clan. and the frost spring spirit spring that I collected. Along with some spirit herbs, it should be enough to concoct the revitalizing spirit liquid to restore Sister Lan Xian's face. Maybe it can even make her prettier. Yang Wu muttered to himself. Complexion revitalizing elixir. This was a type of elixir that could heal wounds, beautify, and nourish one's complexion. Yang Wu summoned out the bronze cauldron and quickly refined several types of spirit medicine and a dozen types of herbs into one cauldron. Then, he added the 2 types of spirit spring water and tried his best to concoct the top-grade living beauty liquid, so as not to leave the slightest scar on Wan Lanxin. Normally, the complexion revitalizing elixir only required 1 type of spirit spring. How extravagant was Yang Wu to use 2 spirit springs? As Yang Wu's strength increased, his level of refining medicine also increased rapidly. It didn't take long for him to concoct the supreme-grade living beauty liquid. He took out a jade bottle and put them all in. This bottle was not small and could be divided into at least 20 portions. Each portion would make women go crazy. Not only could it remove scars, it could also beautify and revitalize the skin, making one's complexion even more beautiful. Which woman could refuse? Yang Wu first wiped away the blood on Wan Lanxin's face and then poured out the 2 portions of the complexion revitalizing elixir and gently smeared it on her face, allowing the elixir to moisturize her skin. Wan Lanxin felt a cool sensation and let out a sleepy voice. After Yang Wu was done, he thought for a bit and tore off Wan Lanxin's tattered clothes, leaving only the undergarment that covered her vital parts. The other alluring parts were all exposed in the air, instantly causing Yang Wu's blood to boil. Her towering chest, flat stomach, and slender legs were all filled with a wild temptation. If it wasn't for her current face that destroyed the beauty, she would really be a living beauty. After Yang Wu took a light breath, he slapped his own face and then smeared the complexion revitalizing elixir on Wan Lanxin's injured parts. After an hour, he finished all of this, and his face was sweating. He took a blanket and covered Wan Lanxin's body, sat to the side and sighed. This is really not a job for a human to do. At this time, if someone was present, they would definitely find that Yang Wu's crotch was swollen. This was not because Yang Wu had any dirty thoughts. He was just a hot-blooded youth. In the face of such temptation, he could already be called a saint. If he had no reaction at all, then he was not a man. Yang Wu sat cross-legged for a while and began to circulate the regal 9 mysteries formula to recover the consumed energy. After the regal 9 mysteries formula devoured the frost spring profound essence, the power of the heaven and earth profound chi increased explosively. After circulating it for a few cycles, the surrounding heaven and earth profound chi was completely devoured by him, helping him quickly recover his strength. After Yang Wu recovered, Wan Lanxin still did not wake up, so he once again opened the furnace to concoct pills. In this battle, there would definitely be many people injured. Yang Wu felt that he could do something for those injured soldiers. His tent was filled with medicinal herbs, which were sent over by Fun Tianxiong. He could use these medicinal herbs to refine heal pills, which could be considered as doing a good deed, and at the same time, tempering his alchemy skills. Bang bang! Under the control of his spiritual will, Lan Yaoji's flames rose and fell, and the medicinal herbs flew into the medicinal cauldron one after another, all of which were clearly sensed by his spiritual will. After reaching this step, I finally understand why Little Hay is able to refine the essence of the medicinal herbs so easily. Everything depends on the strength of the soul force of the divine court. If one's soul is strong, one's mental strength will be strong. If one's mental strength is strong, one's perception will be strong. If one's mental strength is strong, one's perception will be strong. If one's mental strength is strong, one's perception will be strong. If one's mental strength is strong, one's perception will be strong. If one's mental strength is strong, one's perception will be strong. After Yang Wu comprehended the trick of refining medicine, his speed of refining pills became extremely fast. He was no longer as careful as before, but through the sensing method of the divine court, he could easily control and refine the medicinal herbs. After a quarter of an hour, the first batch of pills was completely completed. When Yang Wu opened the lid of the furnace, he found that he could refine 8 pills at a time. His ability to condense pills had also improved a lot. Moreover, each pill was incomparably round and smooth. It was unknown how much better it was than the pills he had refined before. An ordinary pill could at most condense 50 pills at a time. That way, the medicinal properties of each herb would be brought to the extreme without any wastage. Yang Wu still had a long way to go before he could reach that step. Even little Hay could only refine 20 to 30 pills at a time. This had a lot to do with its limited state. Another quarter of an hour passed, and another batch of pills was condensed. This time, there were 2 more pills, making a total of 10 pills per batch. If other alchemists saw such a success rate and pill condensation rate, they would probably be so angry that they would bang their heads against the wall. They had been practicing alchemy for many years and dare to say that they were able to congeal medicinal pills every time. Moreover, they were able to concoct 5 healing pills at a time, and they felt incomparably proud of it. However, Yang Wu was able to easily congeal 10 healing pills at a time. Yang Wu could still condense 10 pills in the third batch, but the time it took was shorter than the first 2 times. He continuously refined 10 furnaces of pills in one go. At this time, the time required for each furnace was astonishingly only half a quarter of an hour to complete. This was simply the feeling of flying, and the 100% success rate really made people sigh at their powerlessness. Yang Wu had never thought about how great his talent for refining medicine was. He only knew that the divine court Dao flower had shown its wonders. It belonged to his spiritual world, and it could merge his soul and body. It could do many things that he wanted to do. A day and a night passed. Yang Wu did not sleep or rest. He did not know how many batches of pills he had refined. In short, the sack beside him was already filled with healing pills. Moreover, the herbs in his tent had been reduced by half. He had consumed a lot of energy, and his eyes had turned red. It was only after Wan Lanxin woke up that he stopped. Wan Lanxin found that she was only wearing underwear. She did not panic at all. She was not like those women who had lost their virginity who made a fuss. Instead, she calmly appreciated Yang Wu's serious appearance of refining pills. She looked as if she was intoxicated. She praised in her heart, "Yang Wu is so cool and handsome." After Yang Wu condensed the last batch of pills, he had condensed a total of 15 pills. This made him feel incomparably happy. Hard work pays off. Although Yang Wu had never thought of becoming an alchemist, in order to be able to stand on his own and not have to always trouble little Hay, he naturally tried his best to become more versatile. If little Hay could do it, he also wanted to do it. "Sister, do you feel better?" Yang Wu turned to look at Wan Lanxin and asked. Wan Lanxin gently touched her face and said with a smile, "Much better. I can feel that it's scabbing. I believe it will be fine soon. Thank you, Brother Wu." Yang Wu took out a healing pill and walked over. "You're my sister. It's my duty to take care of you. There's no need to thank me. Come eat it. It'll help you recover faster." "Feed me," Wan Lanxin said coquettishly. "Open your mouth." "Ah." Yang Wu fed the pill into Wan Lanxin's mouth. Wan Lanxin gently closed her jade lips and pursed Yang Wu's finger. This caused Yang Wu to feel as if he had been electrocuted and his body trembled. Wan Lanxin's tongue gently tickled Yang Wu's finger. Her charming eyes flickered and the blanket quietly slid down. That suffocating body was once again revealed in front of Yang Wu. In this kind of situation, even a fool would spit out blood. There was no way for him to control himself. Yang Wu's breathing became incomparably heavy. His body moved closer to Wan Lanxin, almost sticking to her body. She closed her eyes with a hint of longing. Her trembling eyelashes betrayed the changes in her heart. Just as Yang Wu was about to touch her body, he heavily exhaled and said, "My whole body stinks of medicine. I'm going out to wash up." Following that, he left the tent as if he was escaping, leaving behind a dazed Wan Lanxin. Coward. Chapter 235. Spring was a season where everything was recovering. However, on the battlefield, everything was in a mess. It was incomparably desolate and bleak. After the barbarian suppression army returned victorious, the joy of victory had already turned into a gloomy and sorrowful mood. Too many people had died in the continuous battles, seeing their comrades die one after another. How sad was their hearts! They silently cleaned up the corpses on the battlefield, searching for the remains of their comrades. At the same time, they were also collecting the spoils of war from the battlefield. Many generals also returned with the troops. They returned to the front of the 7 frozen demon monarchs with greedy looks on their faces. Among them, one of the old generals couldn't help but want to take the corpses of the demon kings for himself. He was prepared to send people to carry the demon kings back, but unfortunately, the surroundings of the demon kings were filled with extremely cold chi. The few soldiers who were close to the demon kings quickly turned into corpses. The old general swallowed his breath and said in panic, "Such a terrifying cold chi. You dare to touch my young master's spoils of war? You're courting death." The silver-patterned turtle had been hiding in a corner the entire time. Ordinary people did not notice its existence. When it sensed that someone was targeting the demon kings, it rushed out, accompanied by an overlord's fist. The power of the overlord's fist was not something that an ordinary king could withstand. Although the old general was a king, in front of this fist, he did not have any resistance at all and was ruthlessly sent flying. Bang! The old general was directly embedded into the mountain by the silver-patterned turtle, and a human-shaped hole appeared on the mountain. The sudden appearance of the silver-patterned turtle frightened all the generals. Other than Feng Tianxiong and a few other higher-ups who returned to the barracks early, Feng Tyson was at the back, dealing with the post-battle matters. After he sensed the movement, he quickly rushed over and scolded, "What kind of monster are you? How dare you be so impudent here? Where did this old thing come from? Do you also want to eat my overlord's fist?" The silver-patterned turtle transformed into its human form and scolded Feng Tyson. The silver-patterned turtle had always been arrogant and unruly. Yang Wu had spent a lot of effort to make it submit, so it did not put Feng Tyson in its eyes. "How dare you?" Feng Tyson shouted angrily. He drew his sword and attacked the silver-patterned turtle. He didn't have a good impression of Yang Wu, even though Yang Wu was now in the limelight. Now that Yang Wu's mount dared to be so presumptuous in front of him, how could he swallow this anger? "Old thing, watch out for my fist," the silver-patterned tortoise shouted, and the overlord fist blasted out first. Feng Tyson thought that the silver-patterned turtle was just punching. He blocked with his sword, but he realized that the silver-patterned turtle was just a feint. In fact, it was directly charging over. The turtle's back released silver patterns that quickly bound Feng Tyson. The surrounding soldiers cried out in alarm when they saw this. They wanted to rescue Feng Tyson, but the demon chi released by the silver-patterned turtle was so powerful that they didn't dare to act rashly. They were also afraid that if they went too far, the silver-patterned turtle would kill Feng Tyson on the spot. "Do you know who I am? Even Yang Wu has to respectfully call me general when he sees me. Hurry up and let me go." Feng Tyson was caught by the silver-patterned turtle, but he still shouted sternly. Originally, Feng Tyson's combat strength wasn't weak. However, he consumed a lot of energy in the continuous battles. He also suffered some injuries. The silver-patterned turtle's attack was too cunning, so he fell for it. If he wasn't so careless when he was in his peak condition, he wouldn't have been taken down so easily by the silver-patterned turtle. "I don't care who you are. Grandpa Turtle is going to kill you right now." The silver-patterned turtle revealed a vicious expression as it spoke. Immediately after, the silver-patterned turtle released a powerful binding force that wanted to twist Feng Tyson into a pool of blood on the spot. The silver-patterned turtle wasn't a kind creature. If it said it would kill, it would really kill. It wouldn't show any mercy. Only now did Feng Tyson truly feel the silver-patterned turtle's killing intent. This time, he really panicked. "Bastard, that's enough." Yang Wu's voice faintly rang out. He quietly swept over from afar. If he was just a bit slower, Feng Tyson would have become a corpse. When the silver-patterned turtle heard Yang Wu's voice, it quickly withdrew all of its silver-patterned turtles and swept over to Yang Wu. It said fawningly, "Young master, you've finally come." This guy had designs on the Demon King. I had no choice but to retaliate against him. The silver-patterned turtle really knew how to talk. It pushed all of the blame onto Feng Tyson. Feng Tyson responded in a sorry state. "Nonsense. This general just can't stand seeing you randomly injure people. Yang Wu, you need to properly discipline your mount. It dares to go against its superior. It's really going against the heavens." Yang Wu understood the silver-patterned turtle. This fellow was cunning and sinister, but it definitely wouldn't attack people for no reason. He calmly looked at Feng Tyson and said, "General Feng, this matter is my bastard's fault. You're a great person who doesn't hold a grudge against a lowly person. Let's just let this matter pass." Yang Wu didn't want to bicker with Feng Tyson. It was considered giving him face. However, Feng Tyson took advantage of his seniority and said, "No, it almost killed this old man. How can I let such a vicious monster live? All right, if you don't want to let it live, then you can kill it yourself. I don't mind." Yang Wu spread out his hands and said. Then, he no longer paid attention to Feng Tyson and walked towards the Demon Kings that he had frozen. The Demon Kings here were extremely valuable. Yang Wu planned to take them all back and auction them off in the King City. He would definitely be able to obtain a shocking amount of wealth. These were his spoils of war. Other than the Demon Kings, there were also the items left behind by the Barbarian Kings that he had killed. They had all been secretly collected by Meng Bingxue for him. He wasn't worried about losing them at all. Come, old thing. Didn't you want to kill me? Young master said that he would give you a chance. Let's fight again." The silver-patterned turtle once again provoked Feng Tyson. While it was talking, it didn't hold back against Feng Tyson. It continuously sent out a few Overlord fists. The Overlord fists were not weak. It contained a certain rhythm that was difficult to grasp. Feng Tyson had suffered at the hands of the silver-patterned turtle before, so he didn't dare to fight it again. He quickly retreated and said with a dark face, "Yang Wu, you've gone too far. I will definitely report this to the marshal and let him make the decision." Yang Wu didn't listen to Feng Tyson's words at all. He was thinking about how to take the Demon Kings back. Right now, his yin and yang space wasn't small, but it was still a bit difficult for it to contain the 7 Demon Kings. He sighed and said, "If only Little Hay was here." Without Little Hay by his side, he felt a bit uncomfortable and wasn't used to it. He had to learn that even without Little Hay by his side, he could still accomplish what he wanted to do. He couldn't always rely on Little Hay. This was also the reason why he wanted to refine pills. Little Hay's origin was extraordinary. He didn't know when it would disappear, so he had to take this opportunity to master more skills. Yang Wu reached out to absorb the cold air of the 7 Demon Kings. However, he didn't remove the ice crystals on their bodies. He let them continue to maintain their frozen state, not wanting their bodies to corrode. In fact, the best way was to dissect them all and remove their most important parts. However, Yang Wu didn't think this way. He wanted to transport them back to King City like this. He wanted to play a big game. He wanted to announce to everyone in King City that he, Yang Wu, is back. "Men, bring a few stone carts over. Bring these 7 Demon Kings back to the Death Legion." Yang Wu called out to the soldiers who were cleaning up the battlefield not far away. Soon, dozens of people rushed over together. "Commander Yang, don't worry. We promise to complete the mission. Yes, even if we have to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of fire, we will definitely do it for Sir Yang." These soldiers weren't from the Death Legion, but they looked at Yang Wu with eyes full of respect. They obeyed his orders without question. "Yes, the ice crystals on their bodies won't melt. Most of the cold air has been absorbed by me. It won't affect you too much. You can rest assured," Yang Wu replied softly. After a pause, he took out a handful of pills and said, "Come, here are some healing pills. Everyone, take them and distribute them." These soldiers were overjoyed. One by one, they took the healing pills from Yang Wu's hands. They were more or less injured on the battlefield. They were ordinary soldiers. If they wanted to get the healing pills, they had to pay enough merit points. They wouldn't use the healing pills unless they had no other choice. They were extremely touched that Yang Wu was so generous to give it to them. After Yang Wu settled this matter, he called the silver-patterned turtle and returned to the Death Legion. He wasn't worried that someone would have designs on his spoils of war. In this war, the Death Legion still had the highest number of casualties. They were the ones who charged at the forefront. Fortunately, they were trained again and again during the winter. Their strength had increased a lot. The death rate had decreased a lot compared to before. This time, half of them had died, while the other half were still alive. Among them, half of the commanders had died, including Violent Dragon. Violent Dragon was already a top-notch warlord. With his combat strength, he could even fight against a top-notch barbarian general. He was killed by the barbarian soldiers because he wanted to save people. As for the powerless Lu Ji, he didn't die. He was a civil official and had received an official document. He didn't need to charge and break through the enemy lines like the other soldiers of death. Otherwise, even if there were 10 Lu Ji on the battlefield, they would still die. When Yang Wu returned to the Death Legion, he saw Lu Ji visiting the injured soldiers. He even bandaged their wounds and distributed the healing pills left by Yang Wu. It had to be said that Lu Ji was a very good advisor. Not only did he know how to give advice, but he also knew how to win people's hearts for the higher-ups. He was a rare talent. In this war, Lu Ji had revealed a little of his talent. Some generals had already noticed his existence. If it wasn't for the tense situation, some generals would have already tried to recruit him. When Lu Ji saw Yang Wu appear, he quickly walked over and knelt down. He cried, "Lu Ji greets my lord." Chapter 236. Lu Ji was known as the sickly beauty strategist. The reason he could receive such a good reputation was because Yang Wu had given him the opportunity to display his abilities. In the beginning, he had indeed been able to establish some miraculous achievements. However, later on, no one had taken up the strategies he had offered, which had dealt him quite a blow. Only then did he understand that it was useless for him to have a body of talent. Someone had to appreciate it and give him authority. Lu Ji had already heard of Yang Wu's powerful return and everything he had done on the battlefield. Yang Wu was the greatest contributor, and no one would erase his achievements. Promotion and wealth were inevitable. Lu Ji was Yang Wu's strategist. If Yang Wu was glorious, he would be glorious. If Yang Wu was disgraced, he would be disgraced. His kneeling was a thorough expression of his 100% loyalty and would not be disloyal. Scholars had a backbone. Lu Ji was offering his backbone to Yang Wu. He wanted to rise along with Yang Wu because only Yang Wu would accept his strategies and give him authority. Yang Wu helped Lu Ji up and said, "Lu Ji, what are you doing? Get up quickly." "My lord, please accept my kneeling," Lu Ji said with incomparable sincerity. At this moment, the soldiers of the Death Legion all gathered around and knelt down. "Commander, please accept our kneeling." These soldiers of the Death Legion had long prostrated themselves in admiration of Yang Wu. Now that Yang Wu's performance was even more valiant, no one was unconvinced. Among them, there were vicious and evil people, rebellious and unruly soldiers, and there were also eccentric people. In short, they were the most difficult group to tame and manage. It was definitely not easy for them to declare their loyalty to Yang Wu at the same time. Even the previous rows of death did not have this ability. This was where Yang Wu's charisma stood out from the masses. "As long as you are willing to follow me, Yang Wu, I will not treat you unfairly. Of course, we are the Death Legion. It doesn't matter what outsiders think of us. The important thing is that we don't want to die ourselves, but make others die. Let the enemy hear our voice and make them flee at the mere sight of us. Do you have this confidence?" Yang Wu looked at these people in front of him and inexplicably worshipped in his heart. Since he wanted to revive the Yang family, how could it be done without a group of reliable people under him? Could it be that he would be confiscated like before? No, Yang Wu did not want to repeat the same mistake. He needed his own people. If these people in front of him were willing to follow him, he did not mind to make them belong to him. After all, they could leave the army as long as they paid enough merits. If he wanted to recruit them, he would have to start now. The day he left the army would also be the day they left. "We have confidence." Everyone in the Death Legion responded with a strange glint in their eyes. They had been abandoned by the army long ago. They had also given up on themselves. Now, that someone felt that they were valuable and capable, they wanted to prove that they were not completely useless. Very good. You guys recuperate first. Later, this vice commander will personally teach you what the path of death is. I will make you a death legion that everyone is afraid of. Yang Wu responded with great satisfaction. Afterward, Yang Wu called Lu Ji to the side and asked about the casualties of the Death Legion this time. He also wanted to know if the remaining people were really capable. Lu Ji said with great confidence, "My lord, they are definitely not a problem. As long as you give them a glimmer of hope, they will do their best. Although half of them died in this battle, compared to before, it is much better. This has a lot to do with the military books that my lord gave me. I had those commanders train them day and night, and the improvement is very obvious." That's good. Follow up on this matter. I plan to raise their strength. Tell them that as long as they are willing to follow this vice commander, they will be able to obtain pills, battle arts, and battle skills. Yang Wu said seriously. Cough, cough. With my lord's words, Lu Ji promises to subdue them and make them loyal and devoted. Lu Ji patted his chest and said, I can rest assured with you handling things. When Little Hay returns, I will solve your body's problem. You will follow this vice commander and live a good life. Yang Wu said with great pride, My lord, can my illness really be cured? Lu Ji said with an excited expression. He had been coughing since he was a child. A doctor had diagnosed him long ago. He would not live past 30 years old, and now he was 22 years old. In less than 10 years, he would die an unnatural death. Now that Yang Wu said that his illness could be cured, how could he not be excited? Don't forget that this vice commander is an alchemist. As long as I can find the right herbs, a single pill can change your fate. Yang Wu said with great confidence. If my lord can save Lu Ji's life, Lu Ji will be willing to die for you. Lu Ji knelt again and said. Without waiting for him to kneel, Yang Wu supported him and said, All right, I understand your intentions. Do well, and the title of the #1 advisor will be yours in the future. Yes, my lord, Lu Ji said solemnly. You look like a girl when you're so serious. You don't have any masculinity. My lord, don't be jealous of me. Although I'm a bit more handsome than you, I don't have as much combat strength as you. I'm jealous of your face. I know my face is handsome, but I can't help it. I was born like this. How sad. Yang Wu was defeated by Lu Ji, so he could only go find Shouho to see how his injuries were recovering. However, he didn't go far before he saw Shouho rushing over. Big brother. Shouho called out excitedly after seeing Yang Wu from afar. I was just about to go find you, Yang Wu said as he looked at the energetic Shouho. He then asked, Are your injuries completely healed? Shouho patted his body and said, Not completely, but almost. It had to be said that Shouho's physique was very good. After experiencing such a big battle and serious injuries, he had recovered 70 to 80% in such a short time. Although he couldn't compare to Yang Wu's undying body, he wasn't far off. Yang Wu tossed him a healing pill and said, Eat it. Don't leave any hidden injuries. Thank you, big brother. I haven't finished the pills you gave me. Shouho unceremoniously swallowed the pill. When Yang Wu left the army to search for the Frost Spring mysterious essence, he left medicinal liquid and pills for Shouho and Wan Lanxin. It was precisely because of this that Shouho and Wan Lanxin's strength and physique were improving. It's good that you're fine. Let me introduce you to someone. Yang Wu pulled Shouho over to Lu Ji. Lu Ji saw that Yang Wu had returned with another person. He asked, Commander, this is my brother Sun Do. This is my chief advisor Lu Ji. You two will be Yang Wu's left and right arms in the future. I hope you two can get along well. Yang Wu introduced the two to each other. Shouho asked with a puzzled expression, This is the sickly beauty advisor Lu Ji? This one is Lu Ji. I'm a real man. Lu Ji replied as he waved his feather fan. You really are a beauty. Big brother has good taste. Shouho didn't believe Lu Ji's words at all. Instead, he gave Yang Wu a thumbs up and said, Lu Ji had a defeated expression as he said, If I was really a beauty, your big brother would have already hidden me away in a golden house. Why would he still let me show my face in public? Really? Haha, Lu Ji is indeed a beautiful man. Let's go. Let's find a place to drink. Yang Wu said very happily. The three of them went to a place with no one around. They took out some wine and some dried meat and began to eat and drink to their heart's content. These three people would become a trio that would resound throughout the three realms in the future. War God Yang Wu, staff demon Sun Do, and sickly beauty advisor Lu Ji. The three of them stayed together for half a day before going their separate ways. When Yang Wu returned to his tent once again, Wan Lanxin was already dressed neatly. Not a single bit of her body was exposed. You took so long to bathe. You made big sister wait. Wan Lanxin looked at Yang Wu and joked. The injuries on her face were clearly much better. Naturally, her mood also became more cheerful. Big sister, what are you talking about? How come I didn't know? Yang Wu pretended to be ignorant. Then he changed the topic and said, You stay here and recover. Don't go back. Wan Lanxin walked closer to Yang Wu and said softly, Wu, you are a person who will do great things. How can Big Sister drag you down? I believe that the army will soon reward you. When that time comes, you will be a general in the army. You will have a lot of things to attend to every day. I don't want to be a cripple and drag you down. Yang Wu looked at the sensible woman in front of him. He helped her fix her bangs and said, It doesn't matter if I'm a general in the army or not. You're still my big sister. I still have to listen to you. This is what you said. Then you have to promise me one thing. Wan Lanxin said seriously. Say it. As long as I can do it, I will promise you. Before you reach the peak of the King realm, don't return to King City. Yang Wu was silent. He really couldn't agree to this. I know this is a bit difficult, but the royal family is not as simple as you think. Even if you have the strength to fight against the peak king, if you are their opponent, you have no chance of winning. Or you could take a step back. If the royal family is willing to let bygones be bygones, then let bygones be bygones. Wan Lanxin held Yang Wu's hand and pleaded. Yang Wu took a light breath and said, My parents are still waiting for me. I don't want to wait any longer. After pausing for a moment, he said, But Big Sister is right. I'm not strong enough to fight against them. As long as they give me satisfactory conditions, I will compromise. 3 months. If they don't give me a sincere reply within 3 months, I will personally go to the royal palace to ask for it. At this moment, Yang Wu really wanted to immediately fly back to King City. However, after hearing Wan Lanxin's words, he decided to take a step back. After all, he wasn't truly invincible. I will go back with you when the time comes. Wan Lanxin knew that Yang Wu's mind was firm, so she didn't try to persuade him. At this moment, someone came in to report that the marshal had invited Yang Wu to the tent to discuss matters. Chapter 237. Marshal's Tent. Fun Tianxiong, Su Tinghong, Chao Jianda, Nan Qichin, Feng Tyson, Tyre, and the Rose of Death were all gathered together. Yin Wenan and Fu Rong, the 2 lieutenant generals, had fallen in the battle. After Yang Wu heard the summons, he came as promised. After these generals saw Yang Wu, their expressions became a bit more cheerful. Only Feng Tyson acted as if he had eaten a dead fly and turned his head away, ignoring Yang Wu. Greetings, generals. Yang Wu politely greeted. Our great hero has come. There is no need to be so polite. Fun Tianxiong said enthusiastically. Then he went straight to the point. Yang Wu, you have achieved great merit in this battle. I am prepared to report to the imperial court and promote you to the position of General of the Army Protector. What do you think? General of the Army Protector was a lower 3rd rank military officer. It was half a rank higher than a deputy general and 1 rank lower than a lieutenant general. This kind of promotion speed could be said to be terrifying. Such a young general of the Army Protector was definitely the youngest person since the founding of the Great Xia Empire. It is all up to the marshal. Yang Wu did not have much objection, but he still went on to clarify the topic. Yang Wu was once a criminal. Now that he has achieved great merit, I am afraid that the imperial court is not willing to let Yang Wu be promoted. After Yang Wu said this, Feng Tyson jumped out and said, That's right, Yang Wu is a criminal. Even if he has achieved great merit, he cannot be promoted like this. I think it is better to promote him to general of a right. Yang Wu glanced at Feng Tyson, causing Feng Tyson's eyebrows to jump. He did not know why, but the invisible pressure that Yang Wu gave him made him feel flustered. Even when facing Feng Tianxiong, he did not feel this way. The other generals were also deep in thought. Yang Wu's problem was indeed somewhat complicated. This was also the reason why they had called Yang Wu over for a discussion. In the military, merits are rewarded and mistakes are punished. The imperial court is the same. I don't think Yang Wu's problem is a big deal. It was the same for the King of Death back then. Today, the imperial court still conferred him the title of Protector of the Nation, a rank 1 official, Su Tinghong said. General Su is right. I agree. Chao, Jianda echoed. That's right. If Yang Wu doesn't become the general of the Protectorate Army, is there still justice in this world? Nan Chi-Chin said. Tai Rui didn't express his opinion, and neither did the Rose of Death. However, their expressions seemed to agree with the previous general's words and isolated Feng Tyson. Feng Tyson's face was extremely ugly, but he didn't say anything more. Good. Since no one has any problems, then I will report it. I believe that before long, Yang Wu will become a true general. His future is limitless. Feng Tianxiong slapped the table and then asked Yang Wu, Yang Wu, the rules of the army are still the same. You can receive a royal weapon, a royal skill, and an unlimited amount of merit points. In the future, if you need anything, as long as it is within a reasonable range, you can take it. This is the privilege of giving you the first merit. Do you have any other requests? Feng Tianxiong could be considered to have given Yang Wu enough face. This kind of preferential treatment could only be enjoyed by lieutenant generals. The other generals didn't have this kind of privilege. Yang Wu smiled and said, I don't have any requests. However, I do have something to discuss with the generals. Recently, I have been cultivating with Master and gained some insight into the art of alchemy. Thus, I refined a batch of healing pills. I believe that the army is lacking them. I wonder what the army can take out to trade with me. How many healing pills do you have? Feng Tianxiong asked. Not a lot, at least 1,000 or 2,000. If there are enough medicinal ingredients, it shouldn't be difficult to make 10,000 pills. Yang Wu replied. Marshal, we must have it. It can solve our urgent situation. Chao Jianda immediately said. That's right. Right now, there are many seriously injured soldiers in the army. If we don't save them in time, many people will die. It might even cause a plague, and the impact will be even greater. Nan Chi-Chi nodded and said, Good, we'll take it. We'll use Xian spirit stones to buy these healing pills. Feng Tianxiong said. Then he said, If our army wants 10,000 healing pills, what do you plan to trade? Yang Wu thought for a moment and said, The army will provide all the medicinal ingredients. Give me some extra Xian spirit stones. I can refine them in 7 days. So fast, the generals all exclaimed. 10,000 healing pills, this was a huge business. Even the alchemists in the royal city would need at least 2 to 3 months to complete the payment. Moreover, it would only be possible if several alchemists accepted the order together. One alchemist would probably need half a year to refine it day and night to complete it. Of course, I will also concoct some medicinal liquid for healing. This is an extra gift. It has special effects on soldiers with light injuries. However, they will need to come to our Death Legion to receive it. Yang Wu said again. It was impossible for him to give the pills he refined to the army for free. There is no free lunch in this world. He did not want to be a good person. Being able to concoct additional medicinal liquid was already his bottom line. After all, this was not his army. Okay, deal. I'll get people to send the medicinal ingredients to you. Also, I'll get people to collect them. The medicinal ingredient for the healing pills are very easy to find. Feng Tianxiong said excitedly. With this batch of healing pills, it didn't matter how much he had to pay. As long as he could save those soldiers, his prestige in the army would not be shaken. This was what he should do as the commander-in-chief. At this time, the Rose of Death said, Marshal, please give the position of commander of the Death Legion to Yang Wu. He is the most suitable commander. As soon as she said this, all the generals were dumbfounded. Even though the Death Legion was just an army that was sent to their deaths, the commander was still a general. He had absolute authority and would not give it up easily. This was the charm of power. However, the Rose of Death actually gave it up in front of everyone. It was really hard to understand. Yang Wu was also stunned. He did not know what the Rose of Death was up to. Rose, you really want to do this? Fun Tianxiong asked. That's right. I can be his assistant. The Rose of Death said with certainty. Giving up her authority did not mean that she could leave the Death Legion. She had restrictions on her that made her unable to do as she wished. Okay, I'll take over. Yang Wu did not wait for Fun Tianxiong to say anything else and simply replied. He originally had the intention to take over the Death Legion. Since the Rose of Death took the initiative to give it up, of course he would be disrespectful. This way, he could openly train the Death Legion. However, Yang Wu would not take this position for no reason. He said to the Rose of Death, Commander, have you gathered the king medicine I asked you to prepare? The Rose of Death hesitated for a moment before nodding. I've already prepared it. That's good. In half a month, I will publicly refine a king pill. I hope I can refine a pill that can help the commander increase his realm. At that time, I invite all the generals to attend the ceremony. Yang Wu said seriously. At this time, all the generals' breathing became incomparably hurried. A king pill that could increase one's realm. Wouldn't that be the Earth King pill? The Earth King pill was a pill that could help a king of the Earth Sea realm increase his realm. It was difficult to find even in the empire with tens of millions of gold. Every time one appeared, it would inevitably cause a reign of terror. Yet, Yang Wu actually wanted to publicly refine such a pill. This made their eyes red with envy. Feng Tyson, who was hostile towards Yang Wu, was no exception. He was incomparably conflicted as he thought. This brat must be bluffing. Even a king medicine might not be able to refine that kind of pill. What ability does he have to do it? That was what he thought, but he also thought, what if Yang Wu succeeded? Then wouldn't he have brushed shoulders with this kind of king pill? He did not dare to continue thinking about it. Yang Wu did not wait for these people to say anything. After bidding farewell to Fun Tianxiong, he turned around and left the tent. Fun Tianxiong opened his mouth, but he did not urge Yang Wu to stay. Everything would be clear in half a month. The Rose of Death followed closely behind Yang Wu. This was a matter of great personal importance, so how could she not be moved? Previously, Yang Wu had told her that if there was a chance, he would make a king pill for her. At that time, she did not think much of it. Even if Yang Wu continuously took out a few pills, she did not think that Yang Wu could refine a king pill. However, it was different now. He said it in front of everyone, so he had his confidence. She cannot ignore it. You're not joking? The Rose of Death caught up to Yang Wu and asked shoulder to shoulder. Can this matter be joked about? Yang Wu asked back. He then continued. Remember the medicinal ingredients I mentioned. If you haven't gathered them yet, quickly gather them. Prepare at least 3 portions. Yang Wu told the Rose of Death about the medicinal ingredients needed for the Earth King pill. Previously, he only asked her to prepare the necessary king medicine. Now, he asked her to prepare the other spirit medicines. This was not too hard to find. Okay. After the Rose of Death memorized it, she straightforwardly responded and quickly left. This woman. Yang Wu shook his head with a wry smile. Yang Wu suddenly did this because he wanted to announce his identity as an alchemist. This was the only way to attract the attention of the imperial court. If the other party was still not tactful, then don't blame him for not giving them face. In fact, after the battle between the Barbarian Suppression Army and the Barbarian Army ended, there were reports that were sent back to the Dynasty one after another. Naturally, this news was quickly spread to all the major manors. On the outskirts of the royal city, there was a luxurious ship anchored on a lake with pleasant scenery. A pair of young people stood on the deck with another person kneeling in front of them to report the matter. Your information is correct? Yang Wu, that lowly bastard, has really become so powerful? The beautiful and gorgeously dressed young girl shrieked. Yes, princess. This is the news sent by General Feng. It can't be wrong. The kneeling person seriously replied. Brother Song, what do you think we should do? Yang Wu will definitely come back for revenge. The young girl panicked and said to the elegant, noble young master beside her, Princess, don't be anxious. This news should be correct, but it won't be so easy for Yang Wu to return to the royal city. We should think of a way from this aspect and stop him first. Don't let him return to the royal city. The noble young master said, Yes, yes, I will go back and tell father. He will definitely have a way. The young girl hastily replied, Yes, I will also think of a way. No matter how difficult it is for that lowly bastard, Yang Wu, to die at the border, we definitely can't let him return to the royal city. The noble young master gnashed his teeth and said, Chapter 238, Imperial City, Imperial Palace. This place occupied an extremely large area. 1/3 of Imperial City was enclosed and became the forbidden area of the Imperial Palace. Every building here was resplendent with red walls and green tiles, carved dragons and painted phoenixes, gardens, fake mountains, streams, and pavilions. Every step was a scene. Every scene was painted. It was truly incomparably beautiful and tranquil. In front of the Imperial Palace, there were also 9 dragon bridges. They were like bridges that spanned between heaven and earth, appearing majestic and imposing, showing the extraordinariness and nobility of the Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace was the place where the emperor and the civil and military officials discussed matters. Today, the current emperor had his morning court session. He wore a 5-clawed dragon robe, a purple gold crown on his head, a dragon-shaped belt on his waist, and a pair of golden cloud boots on his feet. Sitting on the golden dragon throne, his noble aura was indisputable, as if he was a 5-clawed dragon looking down at the civil and military officials. It was so majestic. The civil and military officials below wore different uniforms. The civil and military officials wore embroidered robes, while the military officials wore general uniforms. They were lined up clearly on the left and right. All of them kowtowed towards the emperor and shouted, "Long live the emperor!" The emperor asked aloofly, "What important matters do you all have to report?" Immediately after, the civil and military officials successively submitted the memorials that they had prepared long ago and explained the problems one by one. The most important matter today was naturally the outcome of the war at the border. General Luo Gongming stood up and reported the victory. In the battle at the border, the barbarian tribe's patriarch personally led the troops into battle. After a few days of intense battle, the results were finally revealed. Marshal Fun Tianxiong obtained the final victory. He killed 30,000 enemies and beheaded 14 kings, spreading the might of our great Xia. Following Luo Gongming's words, the civil and military officials all revealed a joyous expression. The emperor also laughed heartily. "General Fun really did not disappoint me. How should I reward him?" "Your Majesty, although General Fun's contributions cannot go unnoticed, there was news that our dynasty had the help of a special general. Otherwise, the war would not have ended so quickly." Luo Gongming added, "Oh, what special general helped?" The emperor asked. "A soldier from the Death Legion, Yang Wu, suddenly emerged and became a king in one fell swoop. He defeated the barbarian tribe's army, including one of the top 10 barbarian kings, Shirkaile." Luo Gongming said, "Yang Wu, is he Yunrin? Could it be that, like the protector general, he also comprehended the Tao of death, which is why he was able to make such a great contribution?" The emperor asked curiously. Luo Gongming replied, "Yang Wu is the son of the criminal, Yang Zhenan. He is also the elder brother of the new top scorer, Yang Wen." When Yang Wu's identity was announced, the civil and military officials began to discuss it. "Wasn't the Yang clan confiscated? How come there's another survivor? I remember, this Yang Wu once offended the Shao Junju of Prince Fuwen, so he was sent to the mountain prison. How can he become a general and kill the enemy? Is it possible that they have the same name?" "That's right. If it wasn't for someone with the same name, how could this Yang Wu rise so suddenly in such a short period of time? Back then, it took the Lord Protector more than 10 years to achieve success. I think it's possible. The previous top scorer was a literary star. His brother might be a martial god." Silence. The eunuch standing next to the emperor shouted. In an instant, the hall became completely quiet. "General Luo, are you sure it's at Yangwu?" the emperor asked with narrowed eyes. "I'm sure," Luo Gongming replied. At this time, the civil official on the left stood up and said, answering back to the emperor, "This minister has something to say." "Prime Minister Song, what do you want to say?" The emperor looked at the civil official who stood up and asked. This civil official was the prime minister, Song Lirue. He was the emperor's confidant. He had a high position and was a big man. He looked like he was in his early 50s. He still looked young. He had a beautiful beard, a red face, and wise eyes. When he was young, he must have been a handsome scholar. Yang Wu was originally a criminal. He used all his strength to repel the enemy. This is his duty. He has made a great contribution. The emperor should reward him by making him a deputy general and let him assist Marshal Fan in guarding the border. If he makes a great contribution within 10 years, he could be allowed to return to Imperial City and release Yang Jinnan and his wife. They will be deeply grateful and will be willing to sacrifice their lives. Song Lue said reasonably. As soon as his words fell, many people agreed with him. It was enough to show that he had many henchmen. Luo Gongming glanced sideways at Song Lirue. A complicated look flashed through his old eyes. He opened his mouth to refute, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Yes, my beloved minister's words are reasonable. We'll do as my beloved minister says. The emperor thought for a moment and replied. Far away at the border, spring had arrived. The winter snow had long gone. The ice and snow had melted and the flowers bloomed. In the vast land, there were rays of sunlight shining down, warming the bodies and minds of all living things. In the barbarian suppression army, many soldiers who were seriously injured were given healing pills. The lightly injured soldiers were smeared with medicinal liquid. Their injuries were all under control. They were all filled with gratitude towards Yang Wu. Originally, the army was in a hurry to get the healing pills. However, after Yang Wu provided the healing pills, the situation was immediately alleviated. The soldiers in the army didn't know that Yang Wu was the one who provided the pills. Some lightly injured soldiers went to the Death Legion to get the medicinal liquid and heard the news from the soldiers of the Death Legion. It turned out that Yang Wu was not only the youth king, but also an alchemist. When this news was spread, all the soldiers were filled with admiration and worship for Yang Wu. The youth king, who was not even 20 years old, was one of a kind in the army. Alchemists were even harder to find. If they had half of his ability, they would be satisfied. Because of Yang Wu, the soldiers of the other armies were much friendlier to the soldiers of the Death Legion. They didn't give them the cold shoulder like before. Of course, all of this was deliberately spread by Lu Ji. He also asked for Yang Wu's opinion before doing so. He had to establish absolute prestige for Yang Wu in the army. Even if his achievements shocked the Lord, there was no need to be afraid. After all, Yang Wu already had the ability to be fearless. Yang Wu didn't have the leisure to pay attention to this matter. He was wholeheartedly refining the healing pills. He condensed one batch after another, which consumed a lot of energy. Fortunately, he had the fast absorption ability of the supreme 9 Mysteries formula, which allowed him to recover his chi very quickly. If it was other alchemists, they wouldn't have such a strong endurance. Now, he could easily refine a batch of healing pills. He could condense 20 pills in one batch. His alchemy level had greatly improved. He didn't blindly refine healing pills. Occasionally, he would refine chi-increasing pills and acupoint-breaking pills. The reason why he refined the other 2 pills was firstly to further improve his alchemy skills. Secondly, it was to prepare for the soldiers of the Death Legion. Chi-increasing pills could help soldiers in the warrior realm to improve their strength, while acupoint-breaking pills could help soldiers in the general realm to break through. These were all pills that the soldiers desired. After 7 days of crazy refining, Yang Wu seemed to be possessed. His hair was flying, his eyes were bloodshot, and his whole body was emitting a strong medicinal smell. On the other hand, Blue Demonis was urged to the extreme by him. His control of it was already perfect. When he refined the last batch of pills, he let out a sigh of relief. He took out a mouthful of Frost Spring Spirit Spring and swallowed it to quickly calm himself down. At this time, there were more than 10,000 healing pills in Yang Wu's tent. They filled several sacks. I can finally report to the Death Legion. Yang Wu sighed softly. After doing all this, he didn't come out of seclusion. He asked someone to carry these healing pills out and send them to the marshal's tent. He then went into seclusion again. He planned to refine the king pill for the rose of death in half a month. He wasn't very confident at the moment. He had to seize the time to properly organize the essentials of the basics of alchemy. At the same time, he had to consolidate his knowledge of alchemy for the past few days so that he could better refine the king pill. After another 3 days, Yang Wu felt that he had a deeper understanding of the basics of alchemy. After digesting everything in the divine court, he didn't continue. He took out an interspatial ring. It was the one he took from one of the 4 young kings when he first met the silver-patterned turtle. This interspatial ring had already recognized its owner. It wasn't easy for him to take things out of it. Yang Wu looked at it and smiled. His soul in the divine court jumped, and his majestic mental power slammed into the interspatial ring. Something in the interspatial ring seemed to break. The space inside completely appeared in Yang Wu's senses. This was an interspatial ring about 5 square meters. There weren't many things in it, but every one of them was of high quality. Yang Wu looked carefully and found that there were hundreds of mid-level Xian spirit stones. Their value was 10 times higher than that of low-level Xian spirit stones. There were also some elixirs, spiritual herbs, scrolls, and some strange things. Those elixirs weren't bad either. There were healing elixirs, blood-replenishing elixirs, and Xian-increasing elixirs. They all had their own uses. There were dozens of spiritual herbs with various medicinal properties. Among them, most of them were gold Xianqi. Among them, there was a golden pear fruit, which was a king pill. The value of the other 3 scrolls was not low either. One of them was called Small Diamond Body, which was an imperial skill. The other was called Map of the Land, which described the distribution of the various regions in the transcendent world. The last scroll made Yang Wu extremely surprised. It was the last 4 moves of the 7 folds of Wild Waves. Now I've finally gathered all 7 moves of 7-fold Wild Waves. I can unleash its power, Yang Wu said to himself happily. Then he looked at another messy pile of things. There were demon cores, strange stones, and ancient remnants. He took out a black demon core. There was a gloomy aura emitting from it, as if there was a black crocodile hidden inside, roaring and rushing. This is a black crocodile demon core. It's suitable for Rose to refine king pills. She's lucky, Yang Wu muttered. As for the strange stones, they were suitable for refining weapons. They were all king-grade materials. Finally, Yang Wu's gaze fell on the thumb-sized bronze eye. He felt that there was some movement in his supreme 9 mysteries formula, as if something was attracting it. Could it be that there's another type of Xian essence qi? He took out the ancient bronze eye and looked at it for a while. He didn't find anything strange. He hesitated for a moment and urged Blue Enchantress to burn the ancient bronze eye. Suddenly, the ancient bronze eye seemed to be injected with energy. The ancient bronze eye shone with a bright light, and this light entered his god's courtyard. A remnant scene quietly appeared in Yang Wu's mind. Chapter 239. That was an ancient and mysterious remnant scene. There were ancient people drilling wood to start a fire. Fire dragons were breathing in and out. Vermilion birds were flying about, and there were even giants worshipping. It was as if they had returned to the ancient era. It was an extremely ancient scene, and no one knew what it was displaying. Suddenly, a falling heavenly fire instantly corroded the land, swallowing all life. It was so terrifying, as if it wanted to destroy that part of the world. Just when all of this was unstoppable, an ancient weapon descended and sealed the power of the corrosive fire, preventing it from destroying the world. After the fire was completely sealed, the remnant scene completely disappeared. Yang Wu recovered from the remnant scene and muttered to himself with a puzzled expression. What's going on? What does this scene represent? Could it be related to some kind of profound essence qi? Yang Wu thought for a while, but couldn't figure out the meaning of the remnant scene released by the bronze eye. He simply didn't think about it and put the bronze eye away. He was sure that it had something to do with the regal 9 mysteries formula, and it might be of great use in the future. Yang Wu took out the sevenfold wild waves and began to memorize the last 4 forms in his heart, preparing to completely perfect this battle skill. The first 3 forms of the sevenfold wild waves were rising waves, splashing waves, and torrential waves. Yang Wu had already mastered them, but unfortunately, he didn't have the last 4 forms, so he couldn't use them to the perfect stage. Now that he had the last 4 forms, he didn't have to worry. The last 4 forms were waves forming, waves without wind, layers stacking, and wild waves disaster. Yang Wu used the divine court to meditate, and his soul was silently cultivating. In the tent, he couldn't use the soul and body as one technique, but he could let his soul familiarize with it first. When it was time to use it, he could quickly comprehend it. Yang Wu was already a true king, so he needed a king skill to protect himself. In the blink of an eye, the half a month's time had passed. A piece of news spread like a plague in the army camp. Yang Wu wanted to publicly refine a Dan king. This news was even more shocking than the news of the barbarian army's invasion. In the minds of the soldiers, the Dan king was a top-notch medicinal pill that they looked up to. Now that Yang Wu was going to publicly refine a medicinal pill of this level, did this mean that Yang Wu was already a Dan king? Have you heard? Today, Captain Yang Wu is going to refine a Dan king. Is this fake news? Bastard, you dare to question Commander Yang's ability? With his talent, there's nothing he can't do. Hurry up and find a place to watch. That's right. Commander Yang Wu is our savior. He is the king of youth. If he becomes the king of medicine, he will soar to the sky. It is unknown whether the military camp will still be able to accommodate him. That's amazing. If Commander Yang Wu takes a liking to me, I'd be willing to be his slave. Following a master like him is really practical. The soldiers of the various legions were crazily discussing this matter. Those who were not on duty quickly rushed towards the direction of the challenge platform. The 9 challenge platforms were all empty, and the 9th challenge platform became Yang Wu's alchemy platform for everyone to observe the competition. The big shots in the military originally did not want this news to spread, but they could not stop the mouths of some people. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100, and the entire military camp knew about it. They could not stop these soldiers from opening their eyes. They could only send out some people to maintain order and prevent chaos. Right now, the big shots in the military were already sitting on the high platform, waiting for Yang Wu's arrival. This was an exciting moment. Even they could not sit still. If Yang Wu successfully refined the Earth King Dan, then they would really witness the birth of a young king of medicine. What did this mean? Thinking of this, their gazes became incomparably expectant. Fun Tianxiong and the other generals sat on the high platform. He looked at the people gathering below and could not help but sigh. How long has it been since the military was so lively? The charm of an alchemist is indeed extraordinary. Marshall is right. An alchemist is the most noble profession. Every one of them is rare. Yang Wu doing this has gathered the hearts of our army. It can be considered a good thing. Su Tinghong said from the side. All of this is because of the marshal's leadership. Without the marshal, Yang Wu would not have been dug out. A deputy general said flatteringly, I just don't know if this Commander Yang will succeed or not. Commander Yang has already let us witness a miracle. I believe this time he will not disappoint us. The significance of the Earth King Dan is extraordinary. Once he succeeds, I will definitely ask Commander Yang to refine one for me. That's right, that's right. If our strength increases by 1 level, if the barbarian race dares to invade again, we will definitely be able to kill them until they piss their pants. Whether it was for public or private reasons, these generals all hoped that Yang Wu would succeed. This represented the rise of their barbarian suppression army and also meant that they would not be easily oppressed by the barbarian race. Don't think of things so beautifully. The ingredients needed for the Earth King Dan are not easy to find. The army also does not have any support. You will have to rely on yourself to find it. Chao Jianda could not help but pour cold water on them. That's right. No matter how powerful my son-in-law Yang is, it is impossible for him to provide you with the ingredients. Take advantage of the fact that he hasn't arrived yet, and quickly curry favor with me. When the time comes, old Nan, might even say a few good words for you." Nan Shi-chin said with a thick face, as usual. The generals all rolled their eyes at him. Yang Wu did not even look at Nan Shi-chin's daughter. At this moment, the Rose of Death appeared. Looking at her appearance, it was obvious that she had just returned from the mountain range. Her body was still a bit damaged, and the veil that she usually wore was taken off, revealing a face that was so beautiful that it could make people suffocate. Seeing her like this, the eyes of this group of military bigwigs became a little dazed. They did not see the Rose of Death's true appearance often. Every time they saw her, they would be stunned. She ignored those people and directly found a place to sit cross-legged and meditate. Among the crowded soldiers, people with the rank of Major General and Junior Commander appeared. This was a truly grand occasion that no one wanted to miss. Not long after, Yang Wu appeared with a group of people. Yang Wu's hair was neatly combed, and his headscarf was simply tied up. A faint smile hung on his face that was as brilliant as the spring sun. He wore a navy blue robe, and a purple armor belt that he had taken from the fifth prince was tied around his waist. He also wore a pair of azure cloud boots that he had obtained from the universe ring. This outfit, combined with his innate noble aura, made him seem like an immortal that had descended. He was truly heroic and extraordinary. Everyone could not help but praise in their hearts when they saw him. What a wise and powerful young king. The few female soldiers were completely infatuated and screamed nonstop. "Yang Wu is so handsome. I'm mesmerized by him. What should I do? I must be his woman. Even if it's just for one night, I'll be satisfied. Yes, that's what I think too. But I'm so ugly. Will he like me? I'm so pitiful. Don't be afraid. Your breasts are bigger. Maybe he likes big-breasted girls. I don't have breasts yet. Boo-hoo." When the male soldiers beside these female soldiers heard these words, they did not feel the slightest bit of jealousy. They only felt a strong sense of envy. This was because they could not bring themselves to compare the elegant Yang Wu. The difference was like heaven and earth. Lu Ji, who was beside Yang Wu, felt jealous for the first time. These blind women, can't they see that the most handsome and stylish advisor is here? Shou Ho, who was on the other side, laughed and said, "Sickly beauty, people are treating you as a woman. Can't you see that those women are itching to tear you apart? You're the sickly beauty. You're a bird's nest." Lu Ji and Shou Ho were familiar with each other and could not help but curse back. Shou Ho adjusted his hairstyle that was curled like a bird's nest and said proudly, "This Major General was born with such a unique hairstyle. You can't be jealous of me." In that great battle, several major generals of the barbarian suppression army fell. Among them was Yin Mingzheng, who was acquainted with Yang Wu. Shou Ho, through his own stunning performance, became a major general. There was nothing wrong with him calling himself that. "A real narcissist," Lu Ji said unhappily. "All right, you guys should stop arguing. Don't you think you're losing face for this commander?" Yang Wu said. Wan Lanxin, who was on the side, took the initiative to hug Yang Wu's arm. She raised her face that had already recovered and was even more beautiful. She was like a flower protector. No, it should be a grass protector. She was afraid that Yang Wu's soul would be stolen away by those female soldiers. After that torture, if it was anyone else, their willpower would have already been depressed. However, Wan Lanxin did not. Her heart was only filled with deep affection. This was the boundless confidence that Yang Wu gave her. As long as he was here, she would always bloom her most beautiful side for him. "Don't look around," Wan Lanxin reminded Yang Wu. Yang Wu said with a blank face, "Look around. Those women." Wan Lanxin said. Yang Wu bitterly smiled and replied, "There's a sickly beauty here. No, there's Big Sister here. I'll be blind to look at them." At least you know how to talk. I'll have to watch over you for Slug, so you don't fool around," Wan Lanxin said with a satisfied snort. When Yang Wu heard the word Slug, his eyes couldn't help but flash with a bit of expectation. He thought to himself, You wait for me. I'll quickly find you. When the time comes, no one will be able to separate us." Wan Lanxin looked at Yang Wu and didn't say anything. Her beautiful eyes suddenly dimmed. At this moment, many soldiers opened up a path for Yang Wu. Wan Lanxin, Shouhou, and Lu Ji were too embarrassed to walk with Yang Wu. The soldiers all saluted and shouted, "Greetings, Commander Yang!" These soldiers all saluted and greeted from the bottom of their hearts. There was nothing fake about it. This was a type of respect and affirmation for Yang Wu. The generals all stood up and watched as Yang Wu walked onto the stage. Aside from the marshal, only Yang Wu could enjoy this treatment.